Okay. We don't have to. Good evening, everyone. You're at the City of Opa-locka Community Redevelopment Agency meeting. Today is Tuesday, July 25th, and the time now is 6:10. Madam Clerk, can you call the roll, please?
Board Member Bass.
Here.
Board Member Irvin.
Here.
Board Member Kelly.
Present.
Board Member Taylor.
Here.
Board Member Veronica Williams. Vice Chair Nikisha Williams.
Here.
Board Chair Janie Russell.
Here. We're going to stand for the prayer and a moment of silence. And the Pledge of Allegiance, and Pastor Kelly, Board Member Pastor Kelly, if you will lead us in prayer. And let's not forget our Police Director for Miami-Dade County and many others in our community that needs prayer.
Let us pray. Eternal God, our Father, we thank you for this day. We thank you for allowing us to come into this setting, do your will, your way. Now, God, as we come tonight, we lift up our Police Director of Miami-Dade County, all those that are sick, those that are going through so much in times like these. Now, God, as we come tonight, give us the wisdom, knowledge, and understanding. Do those things which are pleasing in your sight. In Jesus' name we do pray. Amen.
Amen. Amen. Pledge of allegiance of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. We hope that everyone have been keeping cool in these hot days, and we're looking forward to some great things going on within our CRA. Mr. Director, do we have any add-ons?
Madam Chair, we do have one add-on item and then one item for discussion.
Okay, would that be during, oh, you know what, where is public comments? We moved it down to number 7?
Yes, ma'am. This is just to announce it, and then we move down to public comments.
Okay.
So
all
we're
right.
not making any motion or actions on these items from 5 through 6.
Okay,
Mhm.
okay. Go ahead.
So yes, the first add-on item is a resolution looking at a budget amendment, looking at future resolutions to amend the budget for a property acquisition. This is looking at our current budget. As of right now, we do not have a line item that speaks to property acquisitions, and that will need to be added to the budget moving forward on the future resolution items.
Okay, so we want to put that on the agenda tonight, so we need someone to move it.
Yes, Madam Chair.
Madam Chair, is that the item before us? Is that the add-on item that's on the agenda?
That's the one that's before us, yes.
Okay, but see, I didn't hear him mention just reading the title into the record. I know he told us what it entails, but wouldn't we need to just read the item as printed on the agenda into the record for us to consider it, and then he can explain the specifics?
Okay,
I would think, Mr. Attorney, Madam Chair, to the attorney.
yes. Mr. Attorney,
Yeah,
please.
through the chair, it's just an add-on to the agenda. So we'll get into the full reading and the discussion of all the items on the agenda at that time.
Did you get your question answered, sir?
Well, my question was, shouldn't the resolution be read into the record as it's printed? And then we can get into discussion later on, but just for the sake of having it recorded, for record's sake, shouldn't it just been read into the record as it's stated in 5A, since it's an add-on item? That's what I was asking the attorney.
Yeah, Director Kelly, we're happy to do that. We can do it then, and we can do it now, just for the sake of adding it to the agenda, a resolution of the Opa-locka Community Redevelopment Agency, amending the Opa-locka Community Redevelopment Agency's annual adopted general operating and tax increment fund budget for the fiscal year commencing October the 1st, 2022 and ending September 30th, 2023, as set forth in Exhibit A, providing for incorporation of recitals and an effective date.
Move it to add it to the agenda.
Second.
Moved by Board Member Kelly, second by Board Member Bass. Any discussion? Hearing none, roll call, please.
Board Member Bass,
Yes.
Board Member Irvin,
Yes.
Board Member Kelly,
Yes.
Board Member Taylor,
Yes.
Vice Chair Williams,
Yes.
Chair Russell,
Yes. Now we're gonna move into the approval of the minutes from March the 14th, 2023, and then March the minutes. Well, we're doing one at a time. And March the 28th, 2023 of the special meeting.
Move it.
Moved by Board Member Taylor,
Second.
second by Board Member Nikisha Williams. Any discussion? Hearing none, roll call, please.
Board Member Bass.
Yes.
Board Member Irvin,
Yes.
Board Member Kelly,
Yes.
Board Member Taylor,
Yes.
Vice Chair Williams,
Yes.
Chair Russell,
Yes. Now we're gonna move into public comments. Mr. Director, did you get the decorum together for the public comments? Or we'll just go as we've been going?
Madam Chair,
Yes, sir.
through our bylaws, item 3.7, rules of order. The Opa-locka CRA is following the policies and procedure in regards to the quorum of the city of Opa-locka.
Okay, everyone hear that when it comes to the decorum for public comments? We're following at this time the decorum that per the interim director of the city of Opa-locka. Hearing that? Public comments are now open. Public comments, you here for public comments? Yes.
Hi, everyone. My name is Regina Salas, and I'm the president of Main Street Opa-locka. I came here today to request incorporation funds for Main Street Opa-locka in the sum of 20,000. I've been back and forth speaking with Kathy from the state Main Street coordinator, and I've also attended Preservation on Main Street this past week, the conference with all Main Streets throughout Florida. And I did a presentation in regards to the city of Opa-locka and what's needed. And I have a development plan and a business plan for the city of Opa-locka and Main Street as a whole.
Okay, thank you very much. We don't normally respond right away, but the director will get your information and make sure that all of us get it. And because this is our first time hearing it, and then we'll be getting back with you on that.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Public comments are still open. Okay, I'm going to, if I may, board members, I'm gonna take the liberty of asking Mr. Frank Rollison that he's our finance, I don't know what his title is really, over finances for the city oversight. And we had some concerns that were given to him and the state concerning the CRA and how do we handle our finances going forward. Mr. Rollison sent an email to our director, and I later on received a phone call, and that's how Mr. Rollison is here. So I would like for him to share with us what he shared with our director. And he's been a CRA, worked on CRAs before, so he's very familiar with.
With CRAs, that's for sure. Good evening, everyone, and thank you for the invite to come tonight and speak to the board. There is some confusion, or has been some confusion, over dealing with how the CRA interacts with the State Oversight Board. And I think there's been some confusion, or maybe we've missed out on making the board aware of things that have to happen, that it has been so inactive for such a long period of time. And then all of a sudden I started receiving invoices for payments, mostly dealing with the rent program, rent abatement, and the help with housing. And so I said, well, wait a second here, how is this happening? So I had a meeting with Mr. Delane, and we went over all the items. I think when you get into the procurement side of things, the board is obligated to follow the same rules as procurement for the city. So, I mean, we've straightened that out, and I think we're on a good path with that. And I think the other thing you need to be aware of, that just like this resolution that's proposed, that at some point you may act on, whether tonight or another time. Any resolution that you pass, you cannot take action on, spend any money, take any action that resolution is directing the director to do, without first that resolution going to the state and being approved by the State Oversight Board. So we've been getting all the resolutions on a regular basis from the city, but we haven't received any of the resolutions from the CRA. So we got to catch up. We got to go back and get the resolutions that have been passed recently. And I'm not saying we got to go back forever, but the city has been under oversight since 2016. So any resolutions that the CRA has passed since that period of time, we need to get those forwarded to the state. And the city clerk for the city takes care of those items for the city, as you said, as a city commission. And I'm not sure if your clerk here will be the one responsible for that, or however you decide to catch up on that. But I noticed there's a lot of resolutions that have been passed, and the state has not reviewed them. They go up to the state, and then the Inspector General for the governor, who is the one that reviews all the resolutions. And she then sends a letter back to the administrator saying that these are approved or not approved, or that we got a problem with this, or we got a problem with that. Sometimes there's a money issue. Sometimes there's a policy issue. And so those are the basic tenets that have to be complied with. The other thing I'd like to say, and I know Brian is up at the state and he's watching this right now too. He watches all the meetings, is that our objective is to get Opa-locka back on a financial footing that we can go away. We've been here since 2016. And that's a long time to be under state oversight. And so I work very closely with Shemeka. And she sends me all the invoices. I just brought back several hundred when I came here now, approved. It's just been approved by the state so that payments can be made to those vendors. And we try to process those here locally. I review them. And then I send a report up to the state, and they're reviewed up by the state. And we try to turn those around as quickly as we can and get them back to you so that you can make the payments to the vendors or whatever the issues are. I've received 5 of them think yesterday, that we're also dealing with rent issues that were very immediate, necessary for some action. And I worked on them, got them up to the state got them back to me yesterday. And I sent a email to Shameka that she could use that email until I return the actual invoices to make the payments to get those out so these people don't lose their housing. There's an emergency process also when, even with the CRA, if an emergency comes up that follows the guidelines of what's an emergency with the city, that can go straight up to the state. And those would be sent up either by the city manager or through the clerk, or in your case, it would be the executive director here. And we act on those as quickly as we can, because the fact that you're saying it's an emergency, we look at it to see that that's the fact. The last one was when we just did today on those two pumps at pump station 1 that got hit by lightning that had to be replaced for like $46,000. That went up. I got a phone call from Brian. We went over it. It met the criteria of an emergency for the health and safety of the community. And we approved that and got that back right away. So I don't want you to look at us as a stumbling block, but we are an oversight board to make sure that the finances of the community and the tax dollars, whether it be through the TIF from the CRA or the, regular ad valorem taxes or any other form of revenue, gas tax or whatever you receive, are spent according to your codes and in the best interest of the community. So saying that, I'll be happy to answer any questions you may have. And as I've told your executive director, I'm as close as a telephone. We've met and I work that same way with the city manager here and with Shameka in the manager's office. So any
Madam Chair.
questions, have at it.
Yes, Board Member Kelly.
Thank you. Just the real question. Since this is going back, and thank you for being here again, seen you on many occasions. Since this goes back 2016, that has not been approved. Well, the state has not approved it, et cetera. So according to you, everything since then that deal with money or spending really needs to go through that process. Have you had any discussion with the interim director on how to go about from then to now? I know there's some that are current, but you mentioned going all the way back. Is there a recommendation on how to tackle those?
Well, I think that there's quite a bit of water over the dam at this point. So it's not like we're going to go back and start to undo stuff. But I think the state needs to be aware of those resolutions that were passed, and they're made aware of them. And if any of them bring any question to them, they can bring that up. And that's not our intent, is to try to go back and undo something. The intent is that we comply with the agreement that we all entered into when the city came under oversight. And I think that just out of a courtesy, we get those up there. They can see what the board has done. In my discussions with the executive director, evidently there wasn't that much activity, because I never received any invoices that had to be paid. But whether there were any policy decisions that were made or that type of thing, the state should be aware of that in dealing with the CRA. So I think if we go back and research it, I don't know that there would really be that many, because I don't even recall very many CRA board meetings that took place in those last few years. So it's just recently now that it started to become active again, which is a good thing. And that's all I'm saying, is send them up there. She'll go over them. I don't really see where there's going to be any big issues.
Okay. Thank you, Madam Chair. I'll leave right there.
And Madam Chair,
Board Member Taylor.
because we do want to ensure that we are always in compliance. And I know you said that you already spoke to our interim director. And in those conversations, have you spoken to him on timelines and the processes as it relates to communication between the CRA and the state of Florida? Because I want to make sure that we're, like, to Commissioner Kelly's point, we get back right.
I don't think we're that much out of sync, because the only thing that just came to light was when I started to receive the invoices dealing with the rent assistance program.
Mhm.
And then there's been some modifications to that program to help in some other areas, not just specifically with rent. And so those things have to be reviewed by the state. I think the thing that you need to keep in mind, when we're dealing with the city, we have a charter, and we see that the actions that's taken by the commission are in line with that charter. When you come to the CRA, you have a plan,
Mhm.
and the actions that you take have to be in comport with the plan. So if for some reason you want to spend money on some issue, I had the plan was delivered to me, and I'm going to look in that plan and I'm going to see that that's in compliance with the plan. So probably what would make sense, the same thing we do when we're talking about expending with line items and with the city, is that if there's a resolution that's coming before you, it should reference that part of your CRA plan that resolution is in compliance with, as per section so-and-so of the CRA plan. And that way, we're not having to be in a big hunt to try to see if you can spend the money this way or that way. The CRAs have very definitive limitations on how you can spend that TIF money, and that's been worked out in the plan between you and the county as to how you can spend that money. And if there's things you want to spend money on that aren't in that plan, you need to go back and have that plan revised or amended with your partner as to how that TIF money is spent. You typically, and I haven't looked at the finances of the CRA or whatever, but that tax money that comes in, you're getting everything above that line that the CRA was set up. And so the 40% that the county would be receiving, you receive that TIF money, and you get the 60% that the city would normally get above the line of when the CRA was set up. And so that plan dictates how you can spend that money.
Okay,
Yeah,
because
you got your question?
no, he answered my second question, so we're good.
Okay, all right. Board Member Kelly, you have another question?
I'm
Did you have-
direct and straightforward. You said we're not that far behind because you haven't seen
We've done a lot.
Yes.
anything.
Mhm.
Now, I just got back, so
Okay.
I'm straightforward.
You always have been.
I'm not gonna change, that's for sure. The CRE embarked a while back on some housing.
Okay.
And so you've not been a part of those invoices, et cetera, but I know it's a work in progress. So to deal with those invoices, what you're saying is basically you need to see them or be brought to you for verification or approval.
Absolutely.
Okay, but
Every
you have not received-
invoice from the city,
Pardon me?
every invoice from the city.
No, I'm not talking about city, I'm talking about CRA.
No, I understand, but I'm just saying, it's no different for the CRA. Every invoice from the city, whether it comes from the attorneys, it comes from people that work on this project, or all the mundane day-to-day automotive parts and all that, I see every one of those invoices. I see that invoice is made out to Opa-locka, because we would get invoices that were not made out to the city of Opa-locka to pay. And then I see that somebody has signed off on that invoice that the goods and services have been received. And if that invoice is not signed off by some administrator in the city, I send it back to Jamaica, because I won't forward it to the state. So the same thing will happen here. And we work that out on the rent abatement to be able to see that The city is also participating in that program and spending some money, and those are the ones that I signed off today. And then the CRA has those invoices that'll be coming to me. And now the executive director or whoever he designates as the individual to sign off as to authorize the amount to be paid will be on that document that I receive. And then once that's clear, I send it up to the state.
Okay, I'm clear on the process.
Okay,
I just want to make sure since you're here, we're clear going forward because like I said, we have, from what I understand in my briefing with the director, there is an issue already of housing that's going on. And I just want to be clear since we're not that far behind to make sure the invoices get to you or get to your office via the director so that the vendor, I'll use that term, can get paid.
that's correct.
So up to now, you've only been getting rent, mortgage assistance
That is correct.
items.
Now, there's if you've entered into an agreement with somebody to do housing, provide housing, build housing or whatever, we'll want to see that whole process. We'll want to see how it was put out to bid. We'll want to see the bidders, the bid tabulation that came up, how the selection was made. If you select somebody that's a vendor that's a higher price than the low bidder, we're going to want to know why. Because we're looking at the money. We're looking at how you're spending the money. We're looking, how did this vendor get selected? How did you, for instance, the request that was just here tonight for $20,000. Eventually, if the board decides to do that, there'll be a resolution that comes from this board to pay that amount for the streets program. And before you can cut a check, that'll come to me with the backup, the resolution, the contract agreement. I'll get that. And that'll go up to the state. And the state will review that and see that it's in line with what the CRA allows to have happen.
Okay, I appreciate you letting everyone know. I'm fully aware of that. I just want to be clear of where we are now because you said we aren't that far behind. But I know in my briefing, talking to the interim director, we're embarked on some housing now. So I was trying to make sure we're clear going forward, et cetera, because the vendor is already doing the work. So I'm just trying to get clarity how you go from here. I wasn't here when it initially started, but I'm pretty sure they can get you to.
So there's a contract, I would
Well,
assume.
I don't want to get on
somebody-
the absurd.
No, but I'm saying,
Right.
I have not seen that yet.
Okay, well, I'm just trying to make sure, since you say we're not that far behind, the process is done so folks can get paid and whatever the process is, but I'll defer that to the interim director. You know, I guess to speak further, I just want to get your clarification while you were here. So I guess we'll wait and hear the director on that, Madam Chair.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Board Member Williams.
Yes, Mr. Rollinson, thank you so much for being here. So just so I understand, you say that we're not too far behind, but I know that there have been some expenses that have come through the CRA. So something is, for example, like our agreement with the lawyer. And I know last year, I believe we did a rental or a small business facade program. And so there have been expenses that have come through the CRA, albeit they might be relatively small. And those expenses or those invoices hadn't been caught by the state oversight board. And so can you help me understand why that isn't the case and why? So I'm glad that we've caught this issue now, but it leaves me wondering what has happened prior, knowing that there were invoices that were coming through the state oversight and why. I'm hoping you can help me understand.
Well, I could have received some invoices that were not even identified as a CRA expenditure that came through the city. And so, again, what I'm saying, what caught my eye is when I started seeing these rent abatement or rent helping out with the rent, I said, wait a second. So what we worked out the last time when we met is that I get, when I pick up invoices here, I get a set of invoices from the general fund. I get a set of invoices from the enterprise fund. And when I got the CRA invoices, they were intermingled with the report that's on top of the city's general fund. So we met and I said, and I told Shemeka, or requested of her, that we make another synopsis report that's CRA. So it's very clear where this funding is coming from. So there's general fund from the city, there's enterprise fund from the city, and then there's CRA TIF that we'll get. And all the invoices that are CRA generated will be on that report. So it'll be pretty clear as to whose is whose. Now, if we got some catching up to do, and I know sometimes at the state is able to see all the line items, all the balances and so forth. And when I return that, he sends back a report to me. He either approves or disapproves every invoice. So I get another report that comes back from the state. I go through that. If invoices have been denied, I pull them and I give them back to Shemeka. And I said, you've got to work out this issue with the state. This is the problem that they're seeing. So then those have diminished dramatically. We're not having those kind of issues that we had. I think now we just got a confusion as to where this money's coming from, and the line item budget that needs to be provided to the state so they can see that too. The state approves the city's budget, and the state will also approve the budget for the CRA. So all the money that comes into the city, whether it be through the CRA or the TIF or the ad valorem taxes or whatever, that's all under the purview of the agreement that we have for state oversight. So whether we find some things as they begin to surface that we got to straighten out, we'll straighten them out.
Madam Chair, I do have one more question.
Yes, ma'am, Board Member Williams.
So just to confirm, had the state approved the CRA budget? And so that you guys see that you all saw that their money was there, let's say at the beginning of last year. And I'm wondering at the end of the year, did you perhaps assume that no money had been spent? And so in looking at your own records from a state perspective, it looks as if perhaps no money has been spent from the CRA?
What I'm saying is that I did not see a budget presented from the CRA. Now, whether that was sent straight to the state, I'm not sure. And we're sort of catching up right now between Brian and myself as to where we are. Because he will have access to those accounts also. He has access to all the account. He has access to all the finances of the city as part of the agreement, the bank accounts, et cetera. The state has the ability to observe what's in those line items and what's in those accounts.
Any other questions from the board?
Madam Chair, just a comment. Thank you so much for clarification.
You're welcome.
I'm only wishing that you had visited us earlier. So thank you.
It was, like I say, it just sort of came to light. And then with the discussions I had, I offered to come with the chair and discuss it with you. And we'll, if there's things we got to fix, we'll fix them. We'll fix them, okay? All right.
Thank you, Mr. Rollison, so much. I really appreciate you coming to give us some clarity. This has been a trying adventure for me. I became aware on June the 28th, I got a phone call. And from that phone call is how I contacted Mr. Rollison, because I believe that we always speak of transparency. So when I got the phone call, I immediately called to the state and spoke to sent an email to the state, to Mr. Brian Hunter and to Mr. Rollison. Mr. Hunter told me that Mr. Rollison was in charge of the finances for the city. So I followed up with him at that time because I was in a state of don't know. So I'm glad that I said to myself that I am going to invite Mr. Rollison. I spoke to the attorney and I also spoke to Mr. Delane. to let him know that I'm inviting Mr. Rollison to the meeting so that he could give us clarity. There are some things that we know that we're gonna have to go back and work on, but going forward, we want to make sure that everything that we do on this board, that is a part of that plan and that is going to the state for approval and coming back. With that being said, board members, we need to put some policy in place. I've asked this many times before. We need to put some policies in place. How the interim director, he's not under the auspices of the city. He works for us, the board. It's our responsibility to put policy in place as to how we're going to move forward in getting these invoices, these resolutions, future and past, to the state and move forward from there. So I need to hear from the board. What are your suggestions?
Madam Chair,
Yes, sir.
prior to the board, I would like to provide some clarity and some feedback.
Just 1 second, Mr. Delane. Are you gonna on the finances? Okay, go ahead.
So, Madam Chair, first of all, I would like to thank Mr. Frank Rollison for attending our board meeting. I know that our meetings have been very productive. I actually called for a meeting last month looking at, we're separating certain functions between the city and the CRA, knowing that they've been commingled for years, knowing that the executive director of the CRA was in fact the city manager for many years. And looking at the fact that a lot of the invoices that were sent up to the state were basically sent in tandem. And there was some challenges looking at the rental assistance program due to the fact that both the city and the CRA are both sitting up at the same time, but there were changes with the CRA, but not with the city. And those are some of the things that were caught. And I mean, there's also, the conversation of resolutions that haven't been sent to the state all the way to 2016. So this is information that was all gathered on our July 10th meeting. And we also looked at potential resolutions that we can move forward to alleviate some of this confusion, some of these concerns. And as you mentioned, putting together a synopsis log that is separated from the city. That way we know exactly what we're sending off to the state. But also something else that myself and Chairwoman have discussed is putting together signed off expedition forms. Not expedition, but expenditure forms for each line item that's to be expended from the CRA being signed off by both myself and the chair. That way you have multiple eyes on that. So today I would like to proffer to the board a procedure to be added to the bylaws, updating Article 5 Fiscal Matters 5.3 in regards to accounting practices to add that particular language. That way we have policies in place for expenditures from the CRA.
Madam Chair,
Yes, sir, board member
I
Kelly.
just want to respond to that. I heard what you said, but I'm a visual person, so I need to see it in black and white before I would even consider it. So if it's something you want us to consider tonight, then you need to I'm gonna speak for me. I need to see it in black and white. I understand what you're proposing, but I need to see that in writing to see how it lays out with some of the other things that I think we need to do to address the concerns that were raised. That's just one board member. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Madam Chair.
Oh,
Yes, board member Williams, Veronica, and then Taylor.
Good evening. Through the chair to the manager. Quick question.
Director.
What else? Director. Quick question. After you've met, what is the policy or what items have been sent up already? And I understand the flag was raised due to the invoices, but because you mentioned since 2016, well, none of us, well, one person, but my question is, what what, I'm sorry, but what have you sent? Have any been sent, resolutions or anything to the state?
Through the chair,
Yes,
as I mentioned, this is information that is new to me as of July 10th. And these are conversations that I've had with the state, looking at the fact that prior to that conversation, only other resolutions I can remember is the rental and mortgage resolution. In regards to any other expenditure, as we're providing that information, we send that up to the state along with the attachment for those expenditures. As opposed, in terms of the resolution, those haven't been sent up from my knowledge. And as I mentioned before, these resolutions date back for a few years. And I've asked my predecessors, have they sent them up? And I've gotten the same response that they weren't sending them up as well. So we're catching up now, and I'm finding out this information now to take care of this.
Well, from my understanding, we don't need to go back, right? We need to just make sure that the
Well,
policy.
I
is-
think we should see, since oversight's been since
Since
twenty
oversight.
sixteen,
Okay, so.
we should see those resolutions, whatever the
course.
board has done.
Okay, so then my question is, and anyone can answer this question, every resolution isn't attached to an invoice. Because you're saying invoice, but I'm saying resolution. We've had resolutions that's not attached to money, so. I'm sorry, that didn't get Frank. I don't want to call you Frank. What?
Well, that's what everybody calls them.
Mr. Frank stated that what was glaring was he started to see invoices. What I'm asking is, but resolutions have been passed. So what's the policy? Why haven't that? Are we to understand that you did not know that those resolutions needed to go up to Tallahassee?
For the CRA, there isn't a written policy. However, for the city, there is. So if we're to follow under the auspices of the city, that is a separate.
But I'm not talking about, I'm talking CRA. You keep intertwining city and CRA. I'm not asking for city. And I think my issue that I'm having is you keep adding the city on top of it to make it seem as, I'm not even gonna go there, but CRA. Did you not know as the interim director that all of the resolutions needed to be sent to Tallahassee? I think it's a yes or no question. You didn't know until Mr. Frank told you? Because quite frankly, you worked for the city before the CRA.
if I may, Board Member Williams, before, I think what, when I learned of this situation, when anything that we did under the CRA until we made Mr. Delane interim came through the city. So I don't follow the procedure of the city because I don't have, that's not my area of rule. So I think once we started to send our own invoices and they were coming both from the city and the CRA, then that when the separation came, I don't know whether or not Mr. Delane knew what the process was, but I'm gonna say this, I said, when we put Mr. Delane in position, we should have given him, I don't know what happens on the city side because I'm not a part of the commission. But if it's his responsibility to find out what the policy and procedure is and to come back to us, the board, and say, we need a policy in place before we start doing that. That was not done. So when I found out about it, I immediately did something about it because I don't know the procedure of the city handling the finances of the CRA. I don't know whether that answers, but as much as I could I don't know what Mr. Delane can say, but as much as I can give clarity, that's all I can say. I don't know anything past that.
Madam,
I don't know about Mr. Delane because as you said, he worked for the city and under the manager.
Through
But the
chair.
manager was always the executive director of the CRA.
Madam Chair,
Yes,
if
sir.
you will. Okay, because I think we're going around a circle. Right now, we shouldn't look backwards. Let's look forward. So what I'm proposing, I'm making a motion that within the next 30 days, our interim director compiles all resolutions from 2016 and forward it to the state from the CRA. Also meet with the city manager and the state to see how the relationship that you need to review the contract that the state has with the city of Opa-locka, and the city needs to adopt that.
The CRA
The CRA needs to adopt that as it relates to finances, as it relates to our resolutions, everything. Start from scratch. That's what I'm asking you to do. Start from scratch. Bring that back to the board where we can, move forward with this. That way we don't have to keep.
Board Member Taylor, if I can, I agree with you, but I think 30 days is too long. I think that he should go back as far as he could go and send that to the state. And then what we have to work on a process to find what he can't find. But 30 days, I think what we've done, the resolutions that we have on hand over the last year, since he's been the interim director, we need to get those to the state. And if they have, even if they don't have a financial impact, we're supposed to send all resolutions.
Resolutions go to the state.
All resolutions. So I think that we need to go back to when he was appointed interim director and get those done first. And then he could work on the rest, because the things that we have on the table, unless we're going to just stop all course of what we got going on, because if not, we need to stop that. We don't need to move forward with new things. We need to get this straightened out.
I don't mind it. I just want to move forward. So that's why I said 30 days. That'll give him enough time to get all those years compiled and sent. But I don't mind amending my motion for that. But also the policy that you're requesting for as it relates to finances and invoices, he needs to include the language from the state that all invoices need to be, you said signed. What did you say? Signed by?
Right, whoever, either signed by the executive director or
Director,
signed
sir.
by whoever he designates as that individual. I'll
Okay.
look for that signature.
That language needs
Yes.
to be put in policy and brought back to the board immediately.
Board Member Kelly said, Board Member Taylor, that he wanted to see it in writing. I think something needs to happen tonight.
That's what I said.
We don't
Bring
need,
it back to the
so
board.
if we need to
Bring it back.
recess and they type it up and go bring it back so he could see it, we don't need to do anything else until we get that policy in place. Because going forward for me is mute on anything until we get that policy in place to give to the state to direct how we are moving as a CRA.
Madam
So-
Chair.
Yes,
I'm-
Board
I'm-
Member Veronica
So,
Williams
I'm hearing,
and Board Member Kelly. Yes, darling.
I'm hearing two motions and I'm confused now. So the original there was a motion proffered by by
Mr. Delane.
Delane. And then, so, okay, am I to understand when you said recess, it's to work on that motion?
No, it's
Is that-
for him to type it out
Okay,
and bring it back so that we could vote on it tonight.
okay,
Oh, you
got
wanna do
it.
that
And
tonight?
then, So
That's what
Yeah.
Board Member Kelly said.
What I said, what, I didn't say type it
think
up.
he
I'd
was
like to
saying-
see it. He just.
Oh, he said.
Yeah, I don't think that's what. Okay, so I wonder.
I thought you wanted
Wait.
to see it tonight. I'm sorry. Oh, I misunderstood.
That's why I brought it back, because I'm like, I'm not trying to read anybody's comments, but, and then I wanted to go back,
Okay.
Board Member Taylor, you're saying 30 days, but my question is, how long does it take to go to send that many? We don't know, so we're saying, I think we throw out, it's comfortable to say 30 days, 90 days, 15 days, but we don't actually know how long or the details and it takes to do that work. So I guess, Mr. Frank, is there anyone that can share or shed light?
But
We're saying
the-
from 2016.
The reason I said 30, because for the last at least 5 years since I remember, the city has been digital. So it's not hard for him to go and just, we have one meeting a month. So just pull those
He
resolutions.
hasn't done it at all. He hasn't done it like.
Excuse me,
So,
I didn't hear. We didn't hear.
Oh, no, she said he hasn't done.
no, I'm just.
I said because
does
we're
he- do
digital,
you
I think it
know
would be.
Like, I don't know, because I know it's a skeleton office that you're working with, so.
Can I make a
Yes.
recommendation?
Can I
Oh.
get some candy?
And then I just want to say this last thing, I definitely want to move forward, but if the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over and expecting the same results.
Exactly.
And I'm
that's-
sorry, this is insanity. Thank you.
Madam Chair, can I make a recommendation?
Yes, ma'am, you can.
So building on Madam Chair's, I'm sorry, Ms. Williams' recommendation, I actually think we should perhaps have the interim director go back to the time that he was with the CRA, because I imagine hopefully that he would be more, hopefully, able to put his hands on those minutes, and then we can tackle all of those minutes that perhaps when he wasn't here at the CRA differently and give us a little bit more time, because I imagine that's going to be pretty hard. And so from my understanding, you've been with the CRA since 2018, correct? And so I wonder if perhaps in the next 30 days or however many days we decide to do, we have him go back and pull all resolutions since 2018.
You might as well go to 2016. I'm just.
Okay, what is the, let's do this. Let's, Board Member Taylor had proffer, resolution. The interim
motion.
director had also, proffered a resolution. Mr. Attorney, can you help us out?
With what part in particular?
Can you take?
Can the work
can
be
you
done in
take-
30 days?
Well-
No, can you take those two resolutions?
It's
That-
it's a
and
motion.
give us,
It's a motion.
go ahead.
So the interim director wasn't a motion.
Yes, he did. He asked, could we,
He doesn't have voting power.
I
so
know, but
that's
he
not a-
asked us.
So he needs to bring that back according to the desires of the board. He has no dog in this fight. But there are, I didn't mean it that way. You understand what I'm saying? He has no vote. That's what I meant. He has no vote.
Okay.
Kelly about to slap me. Y'all done made me lose my train of thought.
You're a young man. It'll come right back to you.
So my motion would be to the first one would be to, within the next number of days, we'll decide on the days, that the interim director send those resolutions to the state of Florida to bring us current with the state of Florida. So that's the first one. And then the second one was on, I think, Commissioner Kelly, did you want to do that one about the? I lost my train of thought. You got to do it. So we can vote on that one. But we got to put a date on it, a date and
Yes.
time.
I think I listened to the board. I listened to the board.
Honestly, I think he can do to 2016 because the city was digital. So I think it's as simple as going in records and pulling a sheet of paper, or just, and if not, because they all in emails, or he can go to the city clerk. But I think it's possible to do it in 30 days from 2016. That's my opinion.
Through the chair.
But we can consult our.
So on or before 30 days from today, interim executive director is being directed by the board to retrieve any and all
Mhm.
resolutions since 2016. In the event that the interim executive director has any challenges with that, with the clerk's office or otherwise, he should report back at the next meeting.
Madam Chair,
I like how you did that.
Okay, we have a motion on the floor.
I just wanted to add to that. In my
Okay,
opinion-
let's put the motion up and then you want to make an amendment?
Yeah, I just wanted to add to it, starting with the current issues that we're working with.
Okay, well, can we?
Prioritizing the resolutions that the interim executive director,
The current.
yeah.
Okay,
Okay,
you got,
my
you
motion,
got your word. You gonna repeat it now?
what, what he said.
What the attorney said?
What the attorney said.
I don't have a vote in this fight, Mr. I understand.
So yes, so my motion is on the floor.
We have a motion on the floor by Board Member Taylor. Second by Board Member Bass.
No.
That was.
Oh, I'm sorry.
It's okay.
Board Member Irving. Any more discussion?
Yeah, discussion, I think, Board Member Bass might have an amendment. My discussion to it is, we're asking to compile to get all the resolutions. And obviously we can't, to come back to the board. Once he compiles the resolutions and or invoices to send to the state, is he just compiling them and sending them out without any direction? He's gonna send them up as is, even if he has question marks on what may be in them? Is that part of what you're asking?
He's sending it back.
Yes, because what I'm saying is because the damage has already been done. So the state just wants to see what has been done since 2016.
Right.
That's why I made the motion.
I mean, you can't
can't
unring
undo.
the bell.
Right.
Yeah.
Whatever's done is done.
I'm just getting clarity. Just getting
I
clarity.
hear you. And,
Okay.
Madam Chair, if I can just sort of complete the circle so that you understand, and I know, Commissioner, you understand the process, but there's some new people here too. When those invoices hit me and they're of a certain amount of money that require a resolution, then I will refer back to the letter from the state that they have reviewed that resolution and they have approved the contract to a certain vendor for that amount of money, whether it be for computers or construction or whatever. So the invoices that come across, if they are within the guidelines of what the authority of the executive director has to spend without having to have a resolution before this board, since you're following the procurement procedures of the city, then I will approve those and I'll send them on. But if something hits me of a dollar amount that he does not have the authority to without a resolution from the board, I'll stop it. And so now what we're saying is the invoice that I receive now have been approved by the state because they're aware of this program that we have right now with the rent abatement program and so forth. But there's a resolution or a motion or a resolution amending that and adding some things to besides rent that this board has approved, that with the document that he sent me from the minutes of a meeting. Now that hasn't been to the state. So next thing's going to come is there's going to be some invoices that are going to come for me to pay that are different from what the original program was. And I'm looking for that resolution to be approved by the state.
Madam Chair, I want to ask a question, if I may.
Yes, ma'am.
How did we know to send the invoices, but we didn't know to send the resolutions? I was like, what made us send the invoices?
Go ahead,
Madam-
Mr. Interim Director.
Madam Chair, when this program was approved, resolution was sent. And then any updates was sent along with the meeting minutes. So during the April 7th, the April 11th meeting, say we had the board had made a motion to move or extend the program. I forwarded those meeting minutes to the state on that meeting. Now, the information I've received back from the state was that needed to be a resolution. And that's why we're here now. in our bylaws, it says that actions can be approved by motion by the CRA. But to the state, that's a different procedure. And what needs to go to the state is a resolution approving that motion. We don't have a policy in writing of what we do in terms of dealing with the state. We only have it for the CRA. And what's been happening before is, as we mentioned, our business was commingled with the city as the executive director was the city manager. So that's why it was going forth in that veil. As we're separating, those change, and we have to adopt the agreement that the city has with the state for the CRA. So we're working in tandem, but at the same time, it's still separated, if that makes sense.
Your answers are just so long, that's all.
I'm sorry. I have to
And so the
elaborate.
resolution that you all passed as commissioners went to the state for this program.
That we passed as board members, that's how you got,
No, as
No,
as
as commissioners,
okay.
you also have a program
Yes.
dealing to subsidize, I guess, those that are outside the boundaries of the
Yes,
CRA, correct? Okay.
Correct.
All right, so that went to the state and they approved that. So now I have to look and see the ones that are coming, are they outside the CRA? And that's why I asked for the map, and I can have the boundaries to see that we're not sending invoices up that are supposed to be CRA invoices to be paid out of the city program. So that's why we're separating and have a CRA report that goes up, and we can see exactly what is happening, what the CRA is doing. So there's two programs going. One is a city program
Right.
and one is a CRA program.
Mhm.
And what happened was the invoices started to commingle coming in there. And when we met, Shameka was at the meeting with us and we separated them out. And I gave the ones that were CRA to the director, and Shameka took the ones that were city because they weren't signed off by anybody that authorized that payment from the city. And then she called me the other day and said, I've got 5 that I need to get through real quick because these people are going to get, evicted. And I sent back an email to her and I say, are those CRA invoices or are they city? And she said, no, they're all city. So they went up, we did them, got them back, and those people are going to receive whatever those amounts of money are. The ones that I gave to the director, I haven't seen since.
And when did you give those back to the director, if I may ask?
Say again?
Those invoice that you say you haven't seen since, when did you give those back?
That was at the meeting that we had on the 10th, right?
Madam Chair,
Yes, sir.
and this is actually the item that's on the agenda today because that needed to be a resolution, which is extending the agreement with the consultant for the rental more assistance program. That's what was sent to the state because it was approved by motion. However, it needs to be a resolution. And that's what we're here now. I can't make a movement on that item because it didn't have a resolution. That has to be approved by the board.
I got you.
And once that's approved, that resolution will go up. They'll review it. And when it comes back that it's approved, he'll send me the invoices and we're off to the races.
If that was,
Yes, board member
thank you,
Irvin.
thank you. If that was the 10th of July, is that when it was? That was to me, that would have been a need for a special or an emergency CRA meeting. So we don't want anybody evicted because of our lack of knowledge. So that's 15 days later or so, and I'm done.
Madam Chair,
Before you answer, Mr. Delane, in my conversation going back and forth with you and Ms. Taylor, I thought the resolution tonight is covering the contract for Ms. Taylor. It's not covering the payments to the residents.
no, the payments are in processing for the residents.
Oh,
However,
okay.
we need to extend the contract so she can complete her agreement.
But So then, Board Member Irvin asked the question that those invoices are still sitting, but what you're saying is that those invoices have been sent to be paid?
Madam Chair, the invoices in question that are being held up are the invoices being paid to the consultant because the consultant doesn't
It's
have
not
an
the-
agreement. It's
It's
not the
the
rental mortgage, or
residents.
it's not the
This
resident.
is the consultant.
Okay. So the invoices that you received, Mr. Rollison, was not for payment for people's rent?
No, I received Ms. Taylor's invoices and the agreement that was for her had expired or needed to be extended by the agreement. And then I received along with that different agencies to make payments to for rent abatement. And I returned I returned those and I returned the Ms. Taylor's documents too.
Right. So that's invoices to pay people's rent. Am I missing something?
If you don't mind, Madam Chair.
Yes,
So the
Board Member Williams.
the invoices for the rent was passed through resolution. However, Ms. Taylor's was a motion and it wasn't in a resolution. So, but where I'm concerned, and I hope I don't take over or jump in, you probably see where you're going, is Mr. Director. Is it my understanding that Ms. Taylor told you early on that you needed a resolution and not make a motion?
That information only came to me on July 10th.
Untrue. Thank you. I'm done. Go ahead. That's not true.
I'm just trying to find out.
Board Member Irving.
Thank you. I'm just trying to find out where are the applications for the people that we've gotten taken from people, residents that need help paying their rent. Where are those invoices?
Madam Chair,
Yes, sir.
so initially, we were supposed to have a board meeting on July 11th. We didn't have quorum for that meeting, so I rescheduled. I didn't have quorum for the 18th. The next meeting I had quorum for was the 25th, which is today. I would have liked to have that meeting expeditiously to move forward on these items. However, we're here today moving this item forward, and that's where we are right now.
Okay.
Mr. Delane, just 1 second, Board Member. The question is, where are the invoices for the residents? Are the invoices for the residents gone to the state to be paid? Are they still in your office waiting for Ms. Taylor to get her extension done, and then she's gonna give you those invoices to send to the state?
We have invoices that are in processing. In regards to which invoices, I would have to double back, but we've sent all invoices up to the time Ms. Taylor was in the office to the state. What we need to move forward on is the item to extend the agreement for her to close out her contract and the rest of these rental and mortgage assistance applications.
If I may, Madam Chair. Mr. Delaney, I talked to you about this because people call me. I haven't gotten any information. I'm going to get evicted. I haven't gotten any response from the CRA. They call me. I even talked to you about one as early as the other day. Landlords aren't going to wait forever. They don't want to hear about, oh, the invoices didn't go to the state. They want their money. So what they're going to do is they're going to evict these people. By the time the check come through, they're going to be evicted already. That's my concern. Like, and we have applicants. So like, where are they? We got a list of them at the last meeting. Where are those people applications?
Mr. Delane, if you don't have an answer, just say you don't have an answer so we could, because what Board Member Irving is asking, you're not answering the question. The question is, are those applications for the residents? We're not talking about Ms. Taylor. She's asking about the residents' applications. Are they a part of this resolution that we have with us tonight? Or are those invoices waiting until we approve Ms. Taylor's agreement, and then those invoices are going to be presented? That's the only question. That's a yes or no question.
Madam Chair,
Yes, sir.
I'll review all the applications I have in our office if they are there, and I'll provide a report tomorrow morning.
Okay, we had a motion on the floor and we had a second about, did we need to put some days in, or did we agree to the days? Board members, did we agree to the days?
Yes, we
Yeah.
We stuck with the 30 days?
Yes.
Okay, so that passed. Okay.
We didn't vote, we didn't vote.
Oh, we didn't
No,
vote.
we didn't vote.
Madam Clerk, roll call, please.
Board Member Bass,
Yes.
Board Member Irvin,
Yes.
Board Member Kelly,
Yes.
Board Member Taylor,
Yes.
Board Member Williams,
Yes.
Vice Chair Nikisha Williams.
Yes.
Chair Russell.
Yes, motion passes.
Madam Chair, if I can, just one more thing.
Yes, sir, Mr. Rollison, we appreciate your time.
I could feel the appreciation. Listen. There were a series of those that came, which brought it to light, and they went up and I got a phone call from the state. And I'm saying, I'm going to return these because I don't see how this works. And the state said, no, they've got this program. It's approved. Go ahead and send them up. So there were a series that went up and got approved and came back. And I assume those agencies got paid. So it's just this latest batch now that we've now realized there's two separate programs because they came to us originally through the city's general fund. Now, how they separated the money out, I'm sure they did that at the state because they realize now some are general fund and some are CRA. And so the ones that were CRA, when I had the meeting on the 10th, which I think there was like 3 or 4, if I remember correctly, besides the issue with Miss Taylor. Those I returned to the executive director. And then like the ones that Shemeka got squared away, she got them to me again yesterday, and we got those up there and back so that those payments could be made too. So there's not a pile of them sitting over there unless more have come since we had our meeting on the 10th. But I have not received any additional ones that are on the CRA list. I've never gotten a CRA list yet of any kind of expenditures.
And through the chair,
Mr. Delane, is it concerning the same issue of the invoices, the rental invoices?
it's just for clarification that we had this meeting, that way we lay everything on the table so it can move forward in accordance to the state oversight. That's it.
Repeat that. I'm lost. I'm lost. And I'm serious. I'm really not playing. Say that again. I'm sorry. What did you say? I didn't hear you. I'm sorry. I didn't understand what you said.
This was just to ensure that the board hears from the state how we're to move forward with our invoicing, so we don't fall into this issue again.
Okay,
That's why we're here now.
okay. Okay. All right, what is at this point, I need to hear from the board. What is the will of the board in moving forward on the agenda items? What is the will of the board? Moving forward on the agenda items. We have one, we have what, how many items we have here?
I'm sorry, Madam Chair, when you say move forward on the agenda items, I don't understand what you mean.
We got several items here that we need to vote on. We are going back to put a a policy in place as to how we're going to move forward on future financial invoices. So are we gonna vote on these, continue to vote on these items tonight before putting that policy in place? Or are we gonna put a policy in place and then move forward on how we're gonna move with these items? Board Member
Madam-
Williams and then Board Member Irvin, and I see you over here.
Madam
Madam-
Chair,
Yes,
I'm
ma'am.
sorry, but so, so Ms. Taylor has been working. I'm not going to stop a train that has already started and not pay someone that has done the work. So I'm saying, I think in the future, because now that we know, like, when you know better, you do better. We know better now. But I don't think that we stop what we have here based off of someone that does not did it apparently allegedly didn't know. So that's my recommendation, that we move forward.
Well, we have to.
Madam,
I think Board Member Irvin, you had something you would like
Yes,
to add?
Yes, I was just saying that in order, we have to go forward because we have to get these rent checks out, and this is gonna make or break that stuff. We have to move forward tonight.
Okay. Board Member Taylor and then Board Member Williams.
they said it all. I just wanted to make sure, because I know the budget is on here and we have to stand to accordance to state law, so we definitely have to submit it ASAP.
The CRA budget, when is the CRA budget,
We sent it,
when does it have to go to the state?
The draft budget needs to go to the state by July 31st, but this isn't the end all be all budget. The official budget isn't to be due until September 30th.
yeah, we know, but it still has to go to the
It
state.
still has to go to the
It
state.
still has to go to the state, which is why I said we need to,
Oh, come on.
Lundy, come on now.
Yeah.
This is so serious. Yes, Board Member, I'm sorry, did you get your, yeah.
So
Goodness.
can I make a recommendation that, and similar to my fellow board members, that we move forward with this contract that is already in motion? But I would like to see us perhaps come back together within 15 days. So maybe we do need an emergency meeting so that we can talk about how we're moving or how we're handling our processes, particularly from a financial perspective moving forward.
Okay, that's the will of the board for us to move forward. Yes, okay.
At minimum, Madam Chair, the resolution A, 9A and 9F,
Right, right.
at minimum,
My sentence.
9A,
which is the one that's directly related to the mortgage assistance program, and 9F, which is the budget, at minimum.
Mhm.
And then everything else, we can go with the suggestions of. But by the way, you still have, Madam Chair,
yes.
you still have, what is public comments open?
Oh, I never closed it. We don't have resolutions and everything.
We done moved on.
I thought I did say, I closed it and then I invited Mr. Rollerson up.
Oh,
Yes,
because I think that's what he was trying to ask you.
yes. Oh, you want,
Closed it.
we closed it, it was closed.
We can reopen it. Madam
Yeah.
Chair, make a motion, we open the public
Move it.
comment back up.
Okay, moved by Board Member Kelly,
Second.
second by Board Member Irving. Public comments is now back open.
I got a problem. I think,
You state your
Hold on.
name and address. sir.
And we need to
Madam
vote.
Chair, I'm sorry. Just, it's mine.
Yeah, we gotta vote.
Yeah, we need a roll call to reopen it back up. Just, I know you went, but people are watching, state is watching, you need to do it right.
Okay,
We got a motion in a second, we need a roll call, open back up, and then he can talk. Let's make it correct since we want to do things correct.
Okay, we need to do the roll call then.
Board Member Bass,
Yes.
Board Member Irvin,
Yes.
Board Member Kelly,
Yes.
Board Member Taylor,
Yes.
Board Member Veronica Williams,
Yes.
Vice Chair Nikisha Williams.
Yes.
Chair Russell,
Yes,
motion passed.
thank you. Public comments is now back open.
I have a question about a project that I'm working with.
Oh, you need to say your name and address for the record.
Mario Lundy,
Yes,
14911 Duval Street, Opa-locka. I've been working with the city now for about 2 or 3 years. And building some greenhouses inside the district, which I own the land from the county. And I have been working along with the CRA as I'm building out my pocket. I'm doing a change over to green homes, and I sat down and made a commitment that I would get to start the green homes and get them going. And we had conversations where I have a contract, I'm supposed. And I put in my paperwork for the fact that I have been paying and spending. And what I'm asking is that, why is it that I don't really know where I'm at with the process of me almost finished with these projects? The money that is supposed to have given to me, I probably would have used it on the other stuff that I'm getting ready to start, but I'm almost finished with the first stuff that I'm actually building, and I'm trying to find out, where am I? I don't have an idea of where I'm at to move forward with the payment to the state, because I'm mind boggled.
you want an answer right now, sir?
Well, because I've been doing this for 3 years now.
Yes, well, what I suggest, Mr. Lundy, we know the work that you've done. We know the time, the effort that you've put into it. Would you please meet with Mr. Delane and the attorney and go over the contract and make sure that we're on board so that he could bring back a resolution for you to get paid?
So will you be there too? Because I would like for you, me, Delane, and the attorney, so that all of us can be on the same page.
I'll talk to the attorney, Mr. Delane, about that, sir. But we'll make sure we're going to get it right. And you have this board's word that is going to get right.
Pay the money.
Okay?
Madam Chair.
Yes, sir, Board Member Kelly.
I appreciate you saying you're gonna get it right. This just occurred. I'm trying to go with this agreement because I just got it today, did get it printed out. This has been ongoing regarding really since the May 25th, 2022. And if I'm understanding Mr. Lundy correctly, he wants to know where he stands, what's going on.
Yes, sir.
So I'm trying to figure out how it was structured that he would not have an idea of what is going on, what has been going on as a part of the process. Now you're saying to him that, well, he wants a meeting. I guess you're going to do a meeting with you, the attorney, the director, and him to do something. I guess that's where I'm at, because he's before the board. I know he's down to working on homes or what have you. I've seen it. So I need a little clarity myself. Exactly, Mr. Lundy, when you say you want to know where you're at, could you clarify that for me a little bit more?
Well, what happened was that when I first came here, I came here to obligate myself to where I bill, I invoice, I get paid. I don't know where I'm at with this process, because I invoiced already. I have a contract. I'm building. I'm there every day. As you know, you come there every single day to watch. You're really the police in the neighborhood, but it's a good thing.
Say it again.
You're the police because you're there every day, which is good. I mean, I love what you're doing. You come there and you look.
Mr. Lundy, come on.
That's
come
my
on,
guy,
Stay focused. Stay
So-
focused.
So I just want to know where I'm at, I just want to know where I'm at so that we can move forward and make this work,
So if he's, well, okay, thank you for your answer. So, Madam Chair, you're recommending a meeting and then a resolution to come back to the board to pay, well, to address the invoices that have been proffered. Because you've turned in invoices how long ago?
I just got them in, he just asked for them Friday. He asked me for them the first time, Friday.
So
Friday.
prior to that, so you haven't got paid any of this, any of the work or whatever?
No, sir. Nothing.
Okay, and when you signed the agreement, what was the process? 'Cause I'm still trying to look at this agreement real quick while I'm talking. It's very challenging.
I don't know the process because I haven't been told what to do. I'm trying to find out the process.
Okay,
But bring in my paperwork like I did.
okay, are you okay with the suggestion? I'm just talking to you straight up now. Are you okay, since you've been already working and I'm quite sure you've incurred expenses with the chair's recommendation of the joint meeting? And because then it would have to come back, because for the board to actually pay you, it gotta come before us, I guess, in the resolution form, as you already heard. Unless there's something in this agreement, which I'm trying to read real fast, that says you should have already gotten some structure in place, which to me should have already taken place. If you've already committed, and you're doing the work. So are you fine with that process? Because that's not gonna happen tomorrow. I mean, that's gonna not come back to us for some kind of vote until the next meeting, whenever that would be. But, because I heard you say about making, you was saying you're okay with it, but so.
Board Member Kelly, he's the one that made the suggestion of who to meet. I said to meet with and he said, I want you, Madam Chair, to be a part of that meeting as well. So, so I just want to.
I wanted you and Corey to be on the same page with what we're trying to accomplish. So that when things move forward, going forward, everybody have an understanding so that everything is above board.
Well, I've gone through the contract line by line.
Yes,
So I'm aware of what's supposed to be going on with the contract.
yes. See, I wasn't aware of everything that's going on with the process.
Oh,
So
okay.
I'm learning now through these processes.
Madam Chair,
Yes, ma'am.
could this be, may I ask Mr. Rollison a question?
Yes, sure.
Would this be a situation where once all I's are dotted and T's are crossed, that it could come to you as an emergency? Because I'm self-employed and I can't work 3 years with no pay. I'm just saying.
If there's a contract in place now,
Mhm.
I can only assume that it came before the board with a resolution to award the contract.
It would have been before my time, but okay.
Okay, so if there's a contract that's in place, then it doesn't require it to come back before the board to make a payment. There's payments that are due by the contract. He meets what the stipulations are in the contract. Whether there's, whatever it is, by a certain phase is completed or units completed or whatever, then the executive director would be authorized to cut him a check. Now, what we would want to see is we want to see the contract and we
Right.
want to see the resolution that approved that contract. Because
Okay.
I'm going to get the invoice and I'm going to say, where's the authorization for this amount of money? And
Okay,
that would be in the form of a copy of the contract and a copy of the resolution
and
and how he got the contract. How did he get a contract? Did the CRA go out to bid to look for somebody to build these homes?
It's my law. It's my law.
I understand, but I'm just saying how did the
Go back
contract
and forth.
come about? And the resolution should cover that.
Okay.
Madam Chair.
Yes, ma'am.
So we're gonna keep, it's gonna be a site. We're never can, so. Listen, we're gonna keep opening Pandora's box if we keep going.
Yes.
If we
ma'am.
can, and if that's the will of the board to do it, that's fine. We know the breakdown, it's a breakdown, 911 emergency in the system. However, I think if what you just proffered, that, if you all meet and, allow Mr. Lundy to know where he is. He wants answers after 3 years. I'm confused, but if you all can meet and then if we can just move forward, because I'm telling you, we're going to open Pandora's box and I don't want to do that right now. If that's what y'all are trying to do, but
Well, I agree with you. I agree with what's been said on the board. But we can meet, but as soon as we meet, it needs to come back to the board to say
quite
what you're gonna
frankly,
do.
but it's been Madam Chair.
We need, I suggest as a board that we do not continue, as Board Member Veronica said, to discuss this item. I think every board member needs to look at the contract themselves and read it. In the meantime, I'm proffering to my board members to let us have the meeting. And then when we come back as a board and we have all the information, then we discuss it.
But
Okay, I don't want to. I appreciate it.
Lundy, don't go up there. Thank you. You're gonna be all right. It's gonna be all right. Board members. Board members, where do we go? I think we need to adjourn this meeting. That's my suggestion. We can work on Ms. Taylor's event, Ms. Taylor's contract, Board Member Veronica.
And also there's
That's-
renters and
Budget.
it's too much on here. We can't.
Yeah,
No.
The
this,
budget, we gotta
this
do that
is,
budget.
Quite frankly, I'm just saying, Madam Chair, if we didn't have a quorum the last 2 times, we could have met during the city commission meetings an hour before when I'm just saying there was times where we could have had a quorum and move forward, but we got to continue this.
well, that would be a Board Member Veronica. Let me close.
Madam Chair.
Close,
Madam Chair,
before Corian, Mr. Delane, please. I am going to close public comments back. Public comments is closed. Mr. Attorney, can we please move with the rest of the resolutions that are on the agenda, please? After we get finished, Mr. Delane, we'll let you speak, but we need to get finished with the agenda and then we can move on. Because this is not.
Madam Chair, just before you go to the agenda, Mr. Lundy's, the process is very clear with regards to, I just don't want it to go overlooked in terms of what
Yes.
Mr. Rollison. Resolution,
Mhm.
invoice, agreement
Right.
for approval and disbursement.
And that was given on Friday.
Okay.
That was given on Friday just left.
That's what I'm saying. That's all that they're waiting on.
So the board has discussed, Madam Chair,
Yes,
looking forward.
yes,
Okay.
please.
As it relates to Mr. Lundy, he had an agreement which was likely passed by a resolution predating this board that's going to be found in the list of resolutions from 2016. Right? Mr. Lundy is also going to submit invoices that should be in line with his contract for disbursement. We're going to review that expeditiously, right? And then you're going to send that to Mr. Rollison, who's going to review the resolution, Mr. Lundy's contract, and his invoices, and he's going to sign off to this to decide on the disbursement. That's what I'm hearing.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so Mr. Delane, through the ED and the chair, you can have a meeting. All we really need to review is the contract, the approved resolution, and his invoices, and get this gentleman the payment for what the work he has decided. The other items that are on this agenda are resolutions for directing this board to move forward with the business of the CRA.
Thank you.
These resolutions come with agreements, including, quite frankly, ours with for the law firm as well, which was a couple a few months ago, right? Resolution, a contract engagement, invoices from the law firm. Mr. Rawlinson will approve payment of invoices from our law firm. Same like everything else. Items 9A through 9F, excluding the budget, has to do with directives of agreements to advance the business of the CRA. Mr. Rawlinson needs to see approved resolution, approved agreements, and approved invoices. That's what I'm hearing. That's what we're going to go through now.
Yes,
Can we proceed?
yes, sir.
All right. 9A, resolution of the Opa-locka Community Redevelopment Agency authorizing the interim ED, the executive director to execute the extension of the consultant agreement with Linda Taylor to provide services related to the operation of the Opa-locka Community Redevelopment Agency's rental and mortgage assistance program, retroactively dated for April 4th, 2023, for an extension of 3 months, I presume, providing for incorporation of recitals, providing for an effective date.
Move it.
Second.
Moved by Board Member Taylor, second by Board Member Williams. Any questions?
No, ma'am.
I'm so sorry. My version is saying May. The attorney said April.
Mine said me too.
My
Correction for the record, May
May.
2023.
Okay, thank
Yeah.
you.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
Okay, so with the
We have a
correction,
motion and a second for any discussion, Madam Chair.
any discussion? Roll call, Madam Clerk.
Board Member Bass.
Yes.
Board Member Irvin,
Yes.
Board Member Kelly,
Yes.
Board Member Taylor,
Yes.
Board Member Veronica Williams.
Yes.
Vice Chair Nikisha Williams.
Yes.
Chair Russell,
Yes,
motion passed.
Proceeding, Madam Chair, 9B.
Yes.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
All right. A resolution of the Opa-locka Community Redevelopment Agency authorizing the interim executive director and CRA attorney to conduct the purchase of properties located at 14401 Northwest 27th Avenue, Opa-locka, Florida, 33054, to include preparing title work to complete transactions, providing for conflict, severability, and an effective date.
Move it.
Moved by Board Member Taylor, I didn't, second by Board Member Bass. Any questions?
Madam Chair,
Yes, sir.
I guess I need a little clarity on how we came about the purchase. And also, because of the location, the restaurant that we're talking about, we're purchasing it, but has there been any discussion, I'm assuming prior to, as to why we went after this property versus any other?
I'll let the director answer, but the board members that were here and that also agreed on these properties, Board Member Kelly. Go ahead, Mr. Delane.
Madam Chair.
Yes.
So this item was actually proffered by yourself, Madam Chair, to look at properties for the CRA to acquire, and it was focusing on these particular properties as they are on a major thoroughfare within the CRA, and looking at opportunities to basically eliminate slum and blight in our community, but maximize opportunities for redevelopment of these particular properties on a major corridor. And that's why we identified these properties. We've done due diligence and research. We provided the appraisal report to the board members for their review. I also provided a memo, which has been provided to each board member, that provides a brief synopsis of each property so that we can review where we are on those properties. I will advise that there was an asking price that was provided, and with the appraisal, we got the actual market value for the board to discuss and provide directive in order to move forward, if we were to move forward with these acquisitions.
Madam Chair.
Yes,
So
Board Member Williams.
So thank you for highlighting that. I did notice that in both of these properties, the value of the property is less than the list price. And if I'm not mistaken, seems like offering list price. And so I'm curious if you all have negotiated, or if you're asking us as a board if we should decide on what that offer price would be. Like I noticed there's a contract, and so what is in the contract is the list price.
Through the chair and vice chair.
Yeah.
So this is what we were looking at initially. However, once I received the appraisal, this is something I brought back to the board because the board is to make a decision if we're to make a counter offer on the number. We're not finalizing any agreement without the board's directive.
Madam Chair.
Yes.
So I just want to say that overall, I think these are great properties. Particularly, I'm interested in them because they are in a really active corridor that, as I'm sure all of us know, they will be building a Metro Rail extension. And so that entire area hopefully will be right for a different type of development. So I think it's really smart for us as a CRA board to begin to purchase properties in that area. I would though like to recommend that we consider offering a price lower than what we have on there so far. I am not the expert here, and so I will maybe defer to our lawyer, or if anyone else here has some questions, but I would like to perhaps see us offer a little bit less, understanding that we are in a very hot real estate market. And so this is where I will ask some guidance from the professionals.
Thank you, Board Member Williams. Anyone else?
I never got a chance to respond back to, I was waiting. Thank you. So it was something that the board prior to looked at acquiring properties
Yes.
in certain corridors. And the asking price, 750, appraisal came back in at 615.
Yes.
I had asked the director, what was the thought process in addition to purchasing? What was the thought process of doing something with? So as it stands now, we're just buying it, acquiring it, with the mindset of, I heard it mentioned about the Metro Rail, and I hope we all live it when it comes. And only reason I'm saying that, I agree with purchasing property. Usually when you purchase properties, there's a plan already of what you're gonna do with it. Usually don't spend this kind of money on something that futuristic. That's the challenge I have. Now, I'm all for making sure we get it so something can be what we'd like to see because of where it is, but there's a lot of money to spend to knock it down or whatever until we decide if Metro Rail is coming. That's a lot of money. Like I said, usually when you acquire property, there's already some kind of plan or some kind of something in place that you're going to develop the property. And that's my concern with that price of set that amount, considering where the appraisal is. So obviously, if we're going to accomplish that and purchase it, because the board had kind of given its directive for the director to pursue. Now I hope it'll be smaller, at least on this one. I'll reserve other comments for the other piece, but that's the concern I have for it. Okay, thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Board Member Kelly. That was also my concern, Mr. Director. I had asked that we have some type of plan in place as to what is if we purchase these properties, what is the plan? I understand that it is, and I think that we should move forward. If the price is right, that's one of the gateways to the city. And I know that the city's looking at doing something with the innovative district down that street. So I think the properties would be great for us to have. But I'm also concerned about the asking amount. I would like to see us go back and negotiate a lower price. They've been on the market for both of those properties have been on the market for quite some time. And what I like about it, as well as they're adjoining properties, they're right next to one another. So there's something really good could go on that quarter. And if you look at it now, it could use some help right along there. So have you tried to negotiate, or we haven't done anything? You just put it in the packet for us to see, or are you looking for us to give you a price to go back and ask them?
Madam Chair.
Yes.
This was an opportunity to provide the board with all the information
Yes.
available that we've received and leave it to the board to make a decision on renegotiating a price. Once that directive is provided to myself as well as legal counsel, we'll re-engage with the property owners to renegotiate that price for a purchase.
Well, with that being said, I would like to offer an amendment to this resolution to say that to purchase the building with that appraised price, at the appraised price. That would be my amendment to the resolution.
Madam Chair,
Yes, ma'am.
it would be a blessing for us to get it at the appraised price. But in today's market, I think we're gonna have to do a little bit better than that to at least compete with others who are probably ready to snatch it up.
Well, the reason why I stated that, Board Member Bass, is because it's been on the market. Both of them have been on the market a really long time. I think more than a year. More than a year, I think they've been on the market if you look at the packet. So maybe we could start at the appraised price and then see can we negotiate. But the price that they're asking, I think that's a little bit high. A little bit high. So what would be the
I'd like to suggest, Madam Chair. That,
Yes, sir.
We direct the council and the director, give them a little latitude not to exceed maybe 650,000 or 675 tops, not to exceed. That gives them some room to go above the market, and then also accommodate what my colleague was saying about maybe somebody else is out there.
Madam Chair, I think we have enough directives from Board Member Dr. Bass with regards to a ceiling and a floor. The director obviously is not going to negotiate a contract for the asking price. So I think there's a direction to negotiate somewhere between that amount.
Madam Chair.
Yes.
I just offered not to exceed 675.
Board Member Kelly, we rather not discuss any specific numbers here publicly. We're not.
I don't discuss them either, but the director brought them up, so he wanted direction. So that's the only reason I mentioned a number, because I wouldn't mention a number either. That's why I use the term not to exceed, so I'm not giving you an exact amount.
Okay.
Okay.
Fair enough.
But there's concern about that high ceiling, so that's the only reason I said not to exceed. I agree with you totally. We shouldn't be negotiating in here, so that's why I said not to exceed.
Okay.
But
What's the Mr. Attorney? The resolution is the amendment is to not to exceed.
Exceed.
Okay, so we're adding that. Do we need to vote on that amendment? Do we need to, or you're gonna just put that in the language? Do we need?
We'll put that in the language.
Okay. All right, any more discussion on that item? Madam Clerk, roll call.
Board Member Bass.
Yes.
Board Member Irvin.
Yes.
Board Member Kelly.
yes,
Board Member Taylor.
Yes.
Board Member Williams.
Yes.
Vice Chair Williams.
Yes.
Chair Russell.
Yes,
Motion passed.
next resolution, please.
Next resolution, item 9C, resolution of the Opa-locka Community Redevelopment Agency authorizing the interim executive director and CRA attorney to conduct the purchase of properties located at 1441 Northwest 27th Avenue, Opa-locka, Florida 33054, to include preparing title work to complete transactions, providing for conflict severability and an effective date.
Move it.
Moved by Board Member Taylor, second by Board Member Bass.
Madam Chair.
Yes, sir.
This one I'm a little more concerned with
Mhm.
because it's closer to the gas station than the other one is.
Okay.
And I noticed in the write-up, it does say that no, use that good language. We are not aware of any contamination. If more details, greater accuracy required, advise the board receive review from appropriate expert. And I only bring it up because that property is closer to the gas station. So I just want us to be aware of that. I know we want to buy both of them because they're contiguous together, but that one gives me a little more concern of what we might be getting or might be a part of that. And I shared those concerns with the director as well. So I want to put them on the record that before we get too far down the road, if we're going to purchase it, we definitely look into that aspect of it.
So Board Member Kelly, would you suggest that before we purchase this, we do an environmental? You could have a phase one, I think phase two, environmental study.
Well, I didn't necessarily recommend that to the director. I said I was going to bring it to the board because again, this is things y'all kind of had done before I got here. So I was thinking maybe it already had been proffered as a part of acquiring, but only because this piece sits closer
To the,
to the gas station, and that's the reason it gives me a little more concern. I don't know. I guess I'll defer to my colleagues since you all had already talked about it, but that's a little bit more concern to me considering what we would be paying for it, and then to find out if there's something there. I would think at least at the minimum, a phase one environmental, but that's just my thought, because if you purchase it and then there is something there more distinctly, you're gonna have to deal with it. And I always reference Cuyahoga for that because, you know, that's always my reference points. But I do understand the need or the desire to purchase both of them because they're together. I don't know. I just want to just put that out to the board.
Madam Chair, for Board Member Kelly's, he has a valid point. I mean, the contract is going to have a period where the property, both property is going to have to be inspected, where you can cancel, after if you discover anything that you don't like.
That's what I wanted to hear.
okay.
Thank you.
Madam Chair,
Yes, ma'am.
so I think it's a little advantageous to take on two properties, specifically with all the other things that we've that have come up tonight. And specifically since we don't yet have a plan for the first property that was suggested a few months back. And just to clear up, I think Commissioner Kelly, you actually were here. You weren't here that night. You said before you got here. So I just want, but however, I just think it's a little advantageous for the board if we can't, again, how do you eat an elephant one bite at a time? And I think we need to just do one thing great, well, great, and not just a lot of things good. And this will, for my comfort zone, would just be in the good category, which is what's been the trend so far. Thank you.
Any other comments from the board members? If not, roll call, please.
Board Member Bass?
Yes.
Board Member Irvin?
Yes.
Board Member Kelly?
Yes.
Board Member Taylor?
Yes.
Board Member Williams?
No.
Vice Chair Williams?
Yes.
Chair Russell?
Yes,
Motion passed.
Mr. Attorney.
Item 9D, resolution of the Opa-locka Community Redevelopment Agency authorizing the interim executive director to issue a request for proposals for administrative services for the property and business assistance program services, providing for incorporation of recitals, providing for an effective date.
I didn't hear who
Move it.
moved by Board Member Bass,
Second.
second by Board Member Irvin.
Oh, no, it was back.
Oh, no,
Williams.
Williams.
I was getting ready to for discussion, but yeah.
Okay, discussion, please. Board Member Irvin.
Yes, I'm sorry. We do a lot of getting administrative work, getting consultants. I think we do too much of it. Everything is a consultant. And I would like to see more money get to the streets of Opa-locka for the residents, not so much consultants. It has to be a way that we can move money into the community without having consultants. I won't go back to discuss when we pass the paint and pave or whatever project so that I haven't seen any paint go on a house. We talked about finding a strip mall that we could add life to it. I haven't seen that, but we still looking to spend money on consultants. I'm consulted out. I want to see CRA dollars get into the community. I'm done.
Chair,
Yes, sir.
thank you. I share those sentiments. The challenge we have as a board is we don't have the manpower and infrastructure within our current structure
Right.
to do anything. And until you build that up, you're gonna have to hire either administrators or whomever to get things done. So until you do that, if you want the programs, you gotta have somebody to come in and do them. The only good part about it, you can put a time frame on how, well, in this case, you're gonna RFP, so you just gotta wait for it to come back in. But the reason why you got all these consultants, is because remember, you're trying to segue out, in my opinion, you should have done it sooner, but you're just now starting to segue out with the CRA standing on its own.
But may I
Wait, you finished?
Board Member
No, I finished,
Kelly?
but I'll let us chat so you can get that point in.
But we're doing consultants and the job still isn't getting done.
But that's, okay, I'm not disagreeing with your point. What I'm saying is and the resolution calls for an RFP to go out to administer a program that the CRA has deemed noteworthy and wants to help with our business community. And we don't have the staff to do it. So he's got to go out for a RFP to see what will come back in to provide this service to get on the streets, to answer your point. Now, at some point, and I've said this before, the CRA has to get its own infrastructure, be its own everything, which is kind of what led to the beginning discussion starting tonight, so that we can do that. So we have people in-house that are part of the regular staff to do that. But until you get that to reach the community, to get stuff into the streets, you're gonna have to have the outside help. I mean, there's no way around it. And the RFP process at this point is the only way to do that, because you don't have the manpower. You don't have the manpower. That's what it boils down to.
Madam Chair.
Yes, Board Member, I'm sorry, you've finished.
I'm
Board
sorry.
Member Bass. No, Board Member Irving, are you finished? Board Member Bass.
Okay, thank you. I really understand both Commissioner, Board Member Kelly and Irvin. But we really do need to, in my opinion, do this because we do need to update our CRA plans and a lot of stuff that we really, really need to get done. Without an updated CRA plan, we will be where we are right now in the next 2, 3, 4 years. So we really need to make this happen so we can move forward. Thank you.
Board Member Bass, I think the one that we are voting on now is not the plan. It is for the business assistance program. I think the plan is further down. My concerns is that we need staff. We need to hire staff. Right now, we're working with an interim director and Mrs. Dallas, who is a project coordinator. We have line items in the budget. We know that our administrative assistant left. She had medical reasons, but we have line item in the budget for a CRA manager. We need to hire a CRA manager, and then we won't have to have so many consultants, maybe, because you're going to probably always need some consultants until you get a full staff. But if we want to continue to put projects out and things out on the street, somebody has to do the work, because as you see that we're not getting it, administratively is what we need to get in place. and trying to do the administrative work and put these projects out on the street, I think is a bit overwhelming right now. So, you know, one question, Mr. Delane, is this business assistance, this is the one where we're gonna be offering money to businesses to, it's not the paint paving,
This is essentially the small business grant. This is
Small
called Property
business-
and Business Assistance Grant. That
okay.
is correct. This is getting money on the street to our businesses.
And, you know, I love the idea of the businesses getting, you know, because that is going to the residents and the people that are doing business in the city. But, you know, I would also like to see us invest in some infrastructure projects also to help our community, because we're getting a lot of building going on. You know, we still got a lot of flooding. We still got a lot of infrastructure, street lighting, and those type of things that need to be done also. So I'm not against the business assistance program. I think it's a great thing, but I would like to see us also move forward on some infrastructure projects as well. And this is for, to go out for RFP. Do you know approximately when, if you get it out on the street, about what kind of turnaround are you expecting?
Madam Chair, RFPs typically take anywhere between 20 to 30 days from release. So when the board makes the decision tonight, it'll be out no later than next week.
Okay, that's my concern. Any other concerns? If not, call for the vote, please, Madam Clerk.
Board Member Bass.
Yes.
Board Member Irvin,
Yes.
Board Member Kelly,
Yes.
Board Member Taylor, Board Member Williams,
Oh, yes.
Vice Chair Williams,
Yes.
Chair Russell.
Yes.
Motion passed.
Next resolution, please.
Thank you, Madam Chair. The next item is a piggyback agreement from the City of Homestead. Item 9E, a resolution of the Opa-locka Community Redevelopment Agency authorizing the interim executive director to enter into an agreement with Business Flair LLC based upon the existing agreement between Business Flair LLC and the City of Homestead, FL, Florida, RFQ 202313, to provide for an economic development consultant to prepare an update to the Opa-locka Community Redevelopment Agency redevelopment plan and the creation of an economic development plan for the OCRA redevelopment area, providing for incorporation of recitals, providing for an effective date. This is the item that Dr. Bass was.
I'll move it.
Moved by Vice Chair Williams,
Second.
second by Board Member Taylor. Questions?
Yes, I have a question.
Yes.
So I know I missed a meeting, and so I remember where a while ago you presented a handful of responses to this RFP, if I'm not mistaken. I don't know if an RFP was put out, but I know that there were a handful of responses that were in the package. Was there a review and a discussion to choose Business Flair? Did I perhaps miss that piece?
So through Madam Chair, Vice Chair, this item was actually, this information provided in a 3-quote format. We received 3 quotes from 3 qualified organizations. However, this item is looking at a piggyback agreement that's already in existence with the City of Homestead that's providing similar services, which we can enact on. And this is something that I reviewed with our legal team to see if we can move on something expeditiously, knowing that our CRA plan hasn't been updated since its inception in 2011. And CRA plans must be updated every 7 years.
Anyone else? My concern, Mr. Director, is that when did we include an economic development plan? We just spoke about the out to update our CRA plan, but I see here it says, and the creation of an economic development plan. When we originally talked about looking at those businesses that that you sent to us, I don't remember anything about an economic development plan.
Madam Chair,
Yes,
in each one of the documents, this was a part, as in my discussions with the board as well as with these organizations. A directive was provided during the December 2022 orientation that a strategic planning session needed to take place to provide a 5-year plan to this board. So that information was conveyed to these organizations, so they can also include that in their scope of work.
And just to clarify.
maybe I'm missing something again, okay? I understand that we are updating our plan. I'm saying again, I don't remember us saying that we needed to include an economic development plan as part of what the agencies were supposed to do. Now, they might have put it in their proposal to us, but we as a board, I don't remember us saying that's what we wanted. I know we wanted to update our plan. I don't remember us saying, maybe I missed it and somebody could help me remember. I don't remember anything about an economic development plan. Or is that a part of the update for the CRA plan? Is that a part of the plan?
Madam Chair, it is.
Yes.
And in looking at this exercise, we're getting a updated CRA plan, which is basically the rules that we go by.
I
This
understand that.
5-year
Understand
plan
that.
is looking at how do we expend those projects, how do we expend funding, and how do we operate moving forward throughout that plan. Basically providing us with directives moving forward.
I understand what the plan is, Mr. Director. I'm saying to you that this board that I remember, and that's why I'm asking board members, correct me if I'm wrong. We did not say that we wanted an economic development plan. We basically, all we talked about was an update to the CRA development plan, redevelopment plan. Now, if this is something that comes along with the redevelopment plan, is okay. But if this is something that they are adding, then this board needs to discuss what does that economic development plan look like? Or for me, I want to just vote on the update of the redevelopment plan because that's what's needed.
Okay, Madam Chair, I
Yes.
do have the CEO and founder of the organization online. Kevin Crowder, I believe he's online as of right now.
Yes, can you hear me?
Excuse me, Mr. Director. I'm asking you, why do we have it as a part of this resolution if this board did not say that that's what we wanted? We asked for, I'm asking the board to help me if I'm wrong. We asked for an update redevelopment plan. Is this something that after meeting with them, you decided that this would be good to be a part of the plan? Or is this a part of what they are providing to us?
Madam Chair,
Yes.
this is an item that's been discussed numerous times.
And I made that comment to you the first time you and I discussed this. And I said that we are talking about a redevelopment plan because we were supposed to have a workshop. We didn't do it. So just tell me that this is a part of what they do. This is a part
This
of
is a
what they
part of
do.
what the organizations, as all of the organizations, they include this as well.
Madam Chair, if you don't mind.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, thank you. I'm just gonna put a little pin right there. I would like to make a recommendation, suggestion. There's some disjointedness happening right here between the two of you. And so can we defer this item? Does this need to happen right tonight? Can this item be deferred so that the chair and the interim director gets on the same page and then bring it back to the board? Or is this something, Mr. Delane, that has to be on the agenda tonight for purposes of getting stuff moved? I don't know, I'm asking.
I'll answer on my behalf.
I'm sorry, I just would like to hear from Mr. Delane. I haven't heard from him
Okay.
in a while. Thank you.
From who?
Mr. Delane. I didn't say his name right?
Go ahead.
Okay.
Madam Chair, I'm recommending deferring this item so we can discuss this further, so we can move forward on this item at the next meeting.
My comment to that would be that I don't want it to be based on the chair. We are a 7-member board and we all could vote. We could vote it up, we could vote it down. I just want to know how that got there. So if he wants to defer it, that's fine, but the plan, the update to the plan, I think needs to be done. I'm just concerned about that other portion that's in there.
Madam Chair. I
Yes, sir.
say that I wasn't, I guess, here, but the economic plan that needs to be updated is something that needs to occur. So if it's going to get deferred, I think the director is mentioning to the next meeting, because I was waiting on my colleagues as well to hear, you know, what their thoughts on whether it needs to go forward or is what was given the directive to the director? Was it just for the plan or was it for something other than the plan? And to me, that's real simplistic, but if we are not sure, then let's just defer to move on. And you know, we can not debate it the rest of the night.
Madam Chair,
Yes,
if you don't mind, if I provide some guidance here,
please.
I think getting stuff done for the CRA is all within the plan. Right? So, you know, in order to advance the things that you want to see get done, getting the plan updated is really a high priority.
Mhm.
However, you want to restrict what this company out of Homestead is going to be doing is your prerogative to get some stuff done. I think that deferring this item is going to defer you getting the plan updated.
Thank you. That's what I needed to hear. Thank
Yes.
you. That was it. That was what I needed to hear. That was my question. Does it need to be passed in order for us to get stuff moving? Or because it was just too much. So I'm just trying to stop. It seems as if that one piece of jargon was what the issue was. If that one piece of jargon was the issue, I don't know if we can resolve that tonight. I wasn't here either, so.
It's, you know, board member Williams, it's healthy to have, whether you want to define it as disjointed, not on the same page, disagreement,
Yes.
whatever.
That's
But
what
the
we
bottom
need.
line is that the board needs to just be mindful of keeping things moving, right? If there is consensus for updating the plan, that's
Okay,
update
so
plan.
then that's fine. So I'll remove my request for deferral.
So to the amendment, I would like to, if it's the will of the board, to make a friendly amendment that the economic development part of the plan is removed and we move forward with updating the CRA plan.
Okay.
That's why I asked the board, do you all remember us including that in this, when we talked about it? Do you remember us including that? I didn't remember it. That's why I asked the board.
We did not remove it, madam. No, we did not ask for that, Madam Chair, and I don't recall that either, but I think most times that when you do the plan is also coupled with the economic plan,
That's
development.
what I asked.
So, and I wish our director would say his rationale for doing what he's doing, but he's not saying it. So I would proffer that it stays the way it is, because like the attorney says, if we're going to move forward, we need to have a plan,
Okay.
a
I
short
don't
term and
disagree.
long term. So I'm saying to leave it and to ask you to retract your amendment.
I'll retract it. Very, very, very well said, sir. Thank you.
Madam Chair,
Yes, we could, they're gonna call a question and we're gonna move on. What you want to say it now or afterwards?
may I please allow the consultant that can actually speak to this?
Carry
to
on,
speak?
carry on.
No,
We're good.
just leave it.
Can we call
Yeah.
the question,
Okay.
please?
All right.
Madam Clerk?
Board Member Bass,
Yes.
Board Member Irvin,
Yes.
Board Member Kelly, Board Member Taylor,
Yes.
Board Member V Williams,
Yes.
Vice Chair Nikisha Williams,
Yes.
Chair Russell,
Yes.
motion passed.
Excuse
Vote
me,
the same
Chair,
way,
Madam
right?
Chairperson,
Yes, ma'am.
I'm sorry. Months ago, my colleague on the end, Board Member Williams, had an issue with our names being called in the exact same order every time. And tonight, it's been the exact same order again, even as I'm getting ready to say something, Kelly's like, is it the exact same order every time? Correct me if I'm wrong. She did say that a couple times since I've been here since November.
I've said that as the chair. I've
Okay,
asked her to rotate them several
Okay.
times.
okay, I just wanted to make sure
Okay.
that that was,
Please, Madam Clerk, rotate the names. And normally, if it's the will of the board, the chair goes last, but you can rotate the names. Okay? Okay, thank you,
thank
Doc.
you.
Mr. Attorney, please.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Last item on the agenda, before board comments, 9F, a resolution of the Board of the Opa-locka Community Redevelopment Agency approving and adopting the Opa-locka Community Redevelopment Agency's proposed general operating and tax increment fund budget for the fiscal year commencing October the 1st, 2023 and ending September 30th, 2024, as set forth in Exhibit A in your packets, directing the interim executive director to transmit a copy of said budget to the State of Florida Oversight Board, providing for incorporation of recitals, severability, conflict, and repealer, scrivener errors, and an effective date.
Move it.
Moved by Board Member Taylor. Second by Board Member, was it Bass? I heard. Yes, Board Member Bass. We have any comments about the budget?
Yes.
Board Member Nikisha Williams.
Oh, I've got a few. So I will start off with just a few and then I'll open it up and maybe come back because I've got quite a few here. But I guess the first question that I'm asking, and this is to the interim director, is this the right staffing structure? Now that the CRA is operating on its own, I believe this is probably the staffing structure that we had prior to us operating on our own and being underneath the city. So I'm curious, if this is enough staff for us? And then the second question that I do have for you is, I know that as a board, we've talked about the need to have our own bookkeeping agency or something to manage our own finances. And I think after today's conversation, there's probably even more of a need for us to do that. And I don't necessarily see that in here. So would love for you to clarify if this is in here somewhere and just offer that to the board if we want to make sure that we're building that in now.
Through the chair, vice chair.
Yes,
This format is the revised format now that we have separated from the city. So what you see is current. As of right now, you have 2 vacant positions. One is the administrative assistants, which we're seeking to fill within the next few weeks. I've actually gone ahead and looked through the applications, and that position will have its interviews in the next week or so. In regards to your second comment with the bookkeeping services, we have received the RFPs for that service, and we're actually conducting the selection committee tomorrow afternoon. And a recommendation will be provided to the board at the next CRA meeting once that is completed.
So that would fall under our current budget, not our future budget. And I think we'd want the bookkeeping service on board for longer than a year, right? So
That's
we might need
correct.
to build it into this year's
Yes.
budget. Okay, or next year's budget.
Mhm.
Also, I noticed that we're increasing things like travel and conferences quite a bit. And this is in comparison to what we spent this year. So this year was like pretty low. I think in most instances, we weren't even spending half of our dollars, but then we're increasing the budget for next year. And I'd be curious to know if there's a certain reason why we're increasing the budget so significantly and there's a handful of line items, but particularly conferences and travel were 2 of them that I noted.
So yes, this is looking at multiple conferences as well as educational opportunities for the board to attend. I know mentioned to the board, I forwarded an email to the board in regards to the Florida Redevelopment Association Conference, which is the main conference for CRAs within the state of Florida, which is one of many, to become a part and connect with more like-minded professionals within the CRA space. We want to encourage education for the board moving forward, as this is something that the board hasn't taken advantage of in previous years.
The amount is minimal, so for me, it's not a huge issue, but I do want to just call it out and note it that, again, we're not spending the money, but then we're budgeting even more. So hopefully in this coming year, you all will spend the money. Can you explain why professional services are so high? It looks like we're almost doubling professional services. And I know that we talked a lot about, you know, the need for a lot of professional services right now, but ideally you will be hiring your candidates. And so we won't need to double professional services. Is there something else that you anticipate is coming down the pipeline?
So looking at that number, we have to stay within 20% of our administrative costs. So additional costs can be utilized for additional professional services. However, this is still up to the board to make a decision whether we go up or down. This is just a projection. This isn't the final number. This is for the board to look at, as we're doing right now, having constructive conversation on what that number should look like.
Just my own personal opinion, but it seemed quite inflated to me. And so I would recommend that we consider reducing that. I'd also like to sorry, should I?
No, go ahead. You probably answering a lot of my questions.
Even though we all ready to go, but you all said exactly.
A lot of the questions that, you know, I'm normally the one with all the budget questions, so you go right ahead.
Y'all
Help yourself.
feel free to jump in or just, you know,
Before I have a question, before you go to the next item on professional services, Mr. Delane, and I'm gonna say this again. I know I'm being redundant, but please, when we make the budget, can we have a budget narrative? I think sometime that will answer some of the questions. But tell me, what does professional services entail? Because we're going up like, what, almost $100,000 almost looks like. What does professional services entail?
Professional services are basically contracts with consultants or anything such as like photography or things like that. Is anything that we consult out from the CRA to do additional services. Again, this is just a projection. This isn't the final number. We can work on that number.
I know.
So 2 other questions. One, I'd love it if you can, well, 1 question, 1 comment. So 1, would love if you can explain to me what's in the development assistance budget for $500,000 for this coming year. And I see we reduced it by 1/3 or 2/3 from this previous year where we didn't spend a lot of the money, but would love to understand what we're planning to spend that money on. And then it was great to hear the young lady come up and speak in regards to, I believe Opa-locka Main Street is the name of it, or Main Street Opa-locka. I know this is something in our strategic plan, and so would love to see us building in some dollars for that. Her request was minimal, it was $20,000. So if that is something that we can fit in, again, it aligns with our strategic plan. And so I would like to see us support the work that she's doing with her group and perhaps invite them back to give a more extensive presentation to us.
Okay.
I have a couple of concerns. In the budget, are we budgeting for police services?
That is a comment that was brought up previously, and we can make that amendment.
Okay, please make sure that that we include that. And also, I asked this question of the budget administrator several times. I haven't gotten any documentation. I know as a board, we buy insurance for the board. We carry insurance. And I wanted to make sure that myself and board member Nikisha Williams, that we are part of that insurance policy, because we are not under the one that the city's insurance policy. So there's board insurance that we're supposed to be covered under. And I think I saw something about a bondable insurance as well. So, and if and when it's done, can we please have a copy of that policy showing that we are covered under that policy? I have quite a few other concerns, but I know the hour's far spent, so I'm gonna allow the other board members if you all have any questions as well. Board Member Taylor? I saw you put your mic on.
I know once we pass this budget, we can submit it to the state. We just can't increase it. We can decrease it. So my suggestion would be to, if we do pass it, that we need to have a budget workshop for the CRA where we all come together and dive into this budget, because there are a lot of questions, and to try to run through it tonight, I don't think we're gonna have time. And it's something we should have done prior to 8:30 at night.
Madam Chair, I have a question.
Just for a second.
It was just a suggestion. That
That's
was
a suggestion.
Just a
Okay.
suggestion, so.
Go ahead.
Just because this is my first time going through this process with the CRA. So I know that Board Member Taylor, you mentioned that we can increase or decrease, but
No.
can we add additional items after tonight?
I think if I'm not mistaken, if we pass it, we can't increase it. Correct me if I'm wrong. But we can decrease it, but we can't increase it, right?
Yeah, it's different.
No, I know the taxes, but what about the budget? The budget, we can make changes to it? Okay, well, I take back what I said. So I still say we should come back and do
Workshop it.
to workshop it, but I think we should pass it, but then workshop it to make changes. So I misspoke. I do apologize.
Yes, it's fine. Yes, sir, Board Member Taylor. I mean, Kelly.
Thank you. My
Get
suggestion,
cross-eyed.
we need to get it to the state.
Yeah,
Okay,
that's
we
what
need to
I'm
get to the
moving.
state. I do, and I'm quite sure everybody's probably waiting, but I'm not gonna bother with it tonight. There are a lot of questions I have, not so much with all of the numbers, but what we're going to actually accomplish. So the narrative or the numbers are here. I would suggest that we do pass it unless there's something really that stands out that the numbers need to be changed. I didn't hear that yet, except for the community policing, which you want to, I think.
Not community
What
policing.
you call it?
We need to pay for police services when we're having our meetings.
Okay, but I'm saying.
That wasn't a part, the last time the budget administrator and the monies that we pay for the building, the portion that we pay, they said it did not include police.
You know what I'm saying? Except for something like that, that's
Oh,
not
okay.
included, that needs to be included tonight, unless there's some other items specifically for that. I think the budget as it's presented in terms of the items themselves can be workshopped to make sure we want to do, including the potential Main Street, anything else. But if it's not included, we do need to include that. So my question to you was, having had discussion, what is that amount? And where was suggested from the budget administrator to go in terms of the line for the policing services?
I think it goes in that overall, where we pay the city administrative fees. Is that where it goes, Mr. Director? Where we pays the city administrative fees. And he said that police was not a part of that.
No, my question was, do we know how much that amount is?
Oh, I don't know. I think they have like a
Because
a formula that they
fees
use.
right now, we're budgeting, it appears, I guess, 5,000 for next year on administrative fees, if I'm looking at it correctly. So I was asking what amount would those services cost to make sure it's added in here? Because that's the only concern I have. Anything that's not listed that
Yes,
needs to be added, needs to be put in here before we pass it.
yes.
So do we know
But
that, have an idea of that amount?
No, I don't know. Do you think we could, you could have that done when we workshop it? maybe would
Well,
that,
you could workshop it, but if you're gonna pass tonight, you gotta put a number in there, because you're sending this up to the state.
I'm a little bit, I think, kind of need clarification on the budget going to the state. Our budget for the CRA should go to the state along with when the city send theirs, because I was under the impression that it just went to the county. So because we're under state oversight, it's supposed to go to the state as well. Okay, all right, I got it.
It's in the resolution, it has to go to the state, that's what I'm saying there. It
Yeah,
has to go to the state, so the workshop is good, because even though I understand what the mayor's saying, up or down, but anything that's not in here needs to be put in here before it goes to the state. So if you have a number, or you want to just put a number in there before we pass it, because right now there's no money set aside for that. That's something that has been already told to us we need to budget for. Now it's time to do it. We just don't know the amount.
do you have maybe estimate or suggestion, Mr. Delane?
Well, you know what could I suggest is just putting 5,000 and towards that. And if need be, we could always come back with a budget amendment.
Okay.
But at least you'd have something in there, since you already identified that that is
It's a
something that needs to be
need.
included. So my suggestion, along with any others that may come up, would be amendment for that, since we've identified that's something that's not in here that is required. And I would suggest putting that amendment in there for that amount, passing it, send to the state with the idea, as board member Taylor, Mr. Mayor said, we can come back and kind of give directive overall with the amounts where they are, because I don't think they're going to change. So that's an amendment that'll get it going.
I just wanted to ask a quick question. I know we want to call the question. I see everybody packing up. Madam, oh, no, not you. I meant yeah, next to me, the folk next to me. I can't see that far. My question was, and I'm not sure, I feel like this is directed to the attorney. I wanted to, if we want to make a motion to bring other items or other line items for that will potentially have a fiscal impact to this budget, does that have to be done tonight, or can it be done in a budget amendment? What would your preference be? Because I was actually going to make a motion when we got to board reports. I probably should have did it earlier.
Well, this is a draft budget, board member, so it's going to be through the workshop or before the end of September, there are going to be changes. So I suggest that the board members really, in addition to the comments that have been made tonight, the director has been taking notes, and we'll have the minutes through the workshop or before your meeting in September. You're going to have changes up, down from that draft, but it needs to be final before the end of September.
Okay, so you're saying don't tonight?
I think the discussion is great, and I think that it's going to be a draft, but there are going to be changes tonight and before your next meeting submitting. So please review it, and in your one-on-ones, make suggestions, and then at the next meeting, when it's going to be the final budget, that's the meeting where you really have to have some certainty to submit.
Okay, so.
I don't know, did I answer your question, board member?
No, you did. I just, okay, so I can wait for the workshop. I just didn't want to do a one-on-one. Sometimes things that's said one-on-one doesn't get, yeah, so. but
Publicly one-on-one or submitted in writing, however you wish, it needs to be final by the next meeting.
Okay, so I'm gonna just throw it out. I don't know if this would be a motion or what, but what I would like to do is, and then Mr. Delane could follow up, is for a line item where the CRA is working on a replacement for the parks within CRA, the parks, the play area. I would like to see that line item for $300,000. So Mr. Delane, and then I don't know if the other board wants to discuss that, but I would like to see. Yes,
Just for clarification, is this adding it in or is this increasing a line item that's already there?
I don't, but that's the thing. I don't, where is it?
Okay, so it's not here, so it's adding it in.
Yeah.
And it's for what?
line item.
Can you, I'm sorry, if you wouldn't mind clarifying it, it's for what?
The playground that's under the CRA. There are two playgrounds. The playground is Bundy and Ingram. So for the CRA to tackle the projects for the playground, I'm recommending $300,000. I'm not sure if that's under capital projects, but I would like it for it's to be its own line item and not fall under a big umbrella of projects, because I don't want it to get swallowed. So maybe the attorney can.
Board Member Kelly.
I was, to my colleague, so you actually want to up the, line item that is there, or you want to create a separate from the one that's there for park amenities?
So that's what I'm saying. Maybe I don't see it. So where is that? Like,
It's
am I
on
missing
The second page.
second page?
Page.
It says park
I see it.
amenities, assist for parks, recreation projects, and
100,000.
programs is proposed for $150,000.
No, 100.
It's 100.
I'm asking for its own line item.
That's what I'm saying. You want you want the line item by itself?
That is correct. For playgrounds replacement, playground replacement for $300,000.
We understand you.
You understand? Okay. Because
Uh,
that's so vague. That part is vague. I don't know if that 100,000 that you're mentioning, Board Member Kelly, can then be pushed into that same project, or that stays its own line item for other park amenities. However, I'm asking 300,000 is its own line item for the replacement, not the repair, but the replacement of the parks within the CRA playgrounds.
I don't,
Okay, I guess the question, so you want to add its own line item for playgrounds,
Replacement.
even though this has park amenities?
That is correct.
Okay, for playground,
so an additional 300,000.
pardon me?
I think she's saying an additional
additional
300,000. So that would go up 400,000.
Oh, I found it.
No, she said she wants a line item just for playgrounds.
Yeah, that would be an additional
additional
300,000
But
because it has
I
to
guess the
go
question I'm asking,
according to the, I think what has to happen, you could correct me if I'm wrong, is that according to the plan, the CRA plan, it says park amenities, so it has to go under there. But what she's saying is she want of that park amenities budget, 300,000 to be set aside for playground equipment, is what you're saying.
That is correct.
okay, it didn't, okay, I'll defer for a second, with the right to come back while I hear my colleagues.
Go ahead, Board Member Taylor.
And I hear my colleagues, but I think that was passed on the city side, so I don't think we can do it on CRA.
That's 4 parts.
If
But
I
it wasn't
may,
defined, it wasn't defined on the city as per part.
if I may,
Go ahead.
okay.
Go
Let me-
ahead, Board Member Irvin.
Irvin, thank you. Let me go back to me sending Mr. Delaney, I think it was back in April, information that I wanted to appear on our agenda, a resolution for our agenda, saying that for the parks, we have 4 parks in the city. CRA would do 2, the city would do 2, because what Mr. Delaney told me is that parks, that the CRA could not do the whole project. They could only do they can meet the city halfway. Well, if we're gonna meet the city halfway, that's 2 and 2. I also then asked Mr. Delaney about my legislation coming back, my resolution being put back on this item, and it was supposed to come back tonight as a add-on. What happened, Mr. Delaney?
Madam Chair, Board
Yes,
Member
sir.
Natasha Norman Irving. When I spoke with you earlier today, I mentioned that would be a discussion item, so we can review it as a board and look at bringing it forth once research has been done on what we can do in terms of bringing forth a proper project, utilizing the information that we have within our plan, our interlocal agreement, seeing what the city is doing. Because as we mentioned, the city is also putting in funding for the playgrounds, and we don't want to overstep boundaries based off of our agreements and the way the CRA operates. It's not to say we're not going to do any projects, is we have to do things in a proper fashion with CRA dollars.
Okay, this story changes by the moment, by the hour, because earlier or the day before it didn't want to be done because it doesn't, you didn't want it to seem like the Community Relations Board was insisting or telling the CRA what to do when they're an advisory board. So they were doing what they're volunteering to do. For me, it's difficult to sit here month after month and we still are getting nothing done. It's aggravating. I've said it several times. It's aggravating. And I have conversations. If I sound frustrated, I am. Because this is a lot. We sit here, I haven't seen paint on anybody's house, like I said before. So now we meet once a month. Now this has to drag on more until September because we don't meet in August, correct?
That's for the city, the CRA is.
I'm not gonna be here in August. Okay, I won't be here in August. So now here we are again, like it's draining.
Madam Chair.
Board Member Kelly.
Thank you. If I can go back to Board Member Williams, 300,000 you want to put for park amenities. Is that, I mean, for park playgrounds?
She's, Board Member
Is that-
Kelly's
is that-
addressing you, Board Member
Park or
Williams.
playgrounds?
That is correct.
Okay, what you're referencing is, Board Member, something different?
What I'm referencing is I was bringing a resolution to the CRA that we do 2 of the playgrounds in the CRA and the city would do the other 2 on their side. Either it didn't make it, and that's been since like April, I think.
Okay, I got you. So now what my
Okay.
question to Board Member Williams, you want to increase it by 300,000. You've already got 150,000 budgeted. Are you trying to cover all the playgrounds in the CRA, or I'm trying to understand what a 200,000, because there's 150,000 that can be used for playgrounds. It just says projects or program. So it can actually be used for playgrounds if that's the will of the board. But you wanted 300,000 specifically in the line item to say playgrounds. So to me, we're upping to $450,000, 300,000 specifically for playgrounds, but that's not necessarily what you're saying.
So
Commissioner, I mean, Vice Mayor.
It's exactly
You're saying the
what
same
I'm
thing.
saying, yes.
Okay, and then I'm going to my point. I think the mayor was going to bring up Board Member Taylor. I'm sorry. The city, unless it changed, and I wasn't here last night, the city budgeted 100,000 for playground in their budget. And matter of fact, I asked about increasing it for that very reason, to cover Ingram, because at the time I hadn't seen this, to know that the CRA was going to possibly fund. So that's why it actually increased. So if the city passed that last night, or not passed, but agreed to the 100,000 that's sitting there, I'm trying to figure out why we need an additional 300,000 plus 150,000 if we're talking about the same effort. I think all of us want playgrounds and beautiful parks. Nobody wants it more than me.
That's
I'm
right.
just trying to get to the point of the numbers. Doesn't it be 300,000 separately? Because we got 100,000 allocated on the city side. So if we need to allocate some more to make sure that all four get, well, not four, two get done. Again, I'm basing what you're saying.
Mhm.
Then I don't know if we need an additional total 300,000.
So when, oh, go
So
ahead. I'm sorry. No,
that's
you
really
go
what
ahead.
I'm
Yeah,
trying to get clarified, because to me, we've got 150,000 right here for the CRA to do something with park amenities, whatever that may be. If you're saying that's not enough, then I can understand that. But I can't see $450,000 in the mindset of these projects and programs when we're talking about playground amenities.
so let me,
That's what I'm trying to get
Okay.
clarified. To the chair, I mean, if I get clarity.
Thank
from
you.
the board.
Thank you, Board Member Kelly.
okay, so mhm.
You want to go now to answer his question, or you want to you were next?
I don't know, 'cause I
Okay,
think
you
Ms.
want to
Williams-
respond to,
Vice Chair may have a second question.
no,
I don't know.
you want to respond to Board Member Kelly?
Yeah. okay.
Yes,
So,
please.
yes. So of course, it all has to go out to a RFP and do what it needs to do. I'm saying 300 to be comfortable. I don't know
That's
what that cost is. So again, I'm saying 300, which then will be an addition to the 150 that's already there under park amenities. So if park amenities, I'm saying, to me, park amenities is vague. Park amenities can be trash cans. Park amenities can be basketball court, which also needs to be done. But what I'm saying is, I would like for us as a board to all of our parks, quite frankly, but talking about the CRA parks, the parks within the CRA, for us to update. So of course, we can come back if it does not cost 300,000, but I'm giving a comfortable price because that price was similar to what was on the city side as well. So we can add to the parks amenity. We can add to the parks amenity. We can maybe 200,000. I don't know what that price is. So that's what I'm saying.
Okay,
Uh,
I hear you. Okay. I
Board
got
mem-
clarity. Thank you.
Board Member Kelly, you wanted to say something?
No, I got a clarity. I just think if you add 300,000, which you can, he needs to be able to calculate right quick if we're gonna pass, because you gotta rearrange something, because you
To
got
take it
final
from-
numbers. I'm fine. I'm fine. I'll see where it goes, because to me, I'm gonna say this, and I know the CRA side. There's a city park master plan that's in development somewhere for the whole city. So I don't want us to get too far ahead. And that master plan that we paid, the city's paid $150,000 to get done.
CRA paid half.
That's right. Get your name on that sign. There you go. But the point I'm making, that document is designed for the park master plan for the entire city, CRA and whatever. I agree with the playgrounds because they need to be done. I just want us to spend too much or allocate too much. So we got to mark a park master plan that's coming forward that we're going to have to do a whole lot with the whole city. So that's the only reason why I said that 300,000 was a little high to me for what I believe we want to accomplish for playgrounds. That's the only reason I said it's kind of high. But if you're comfortable with 300,000, fine. I'm going to go back to what the vice mayor was saying earlier, where she was going to bring it up, CRA or whoever. We need the playgrounds done. There's 100,000 sitting already on the city side that's proposed in the budget. So to me, from the numbers I saw, what I was asking about park playgrounds, et cetera, it was about 100,000 for Shabandi, and I was told about 80,000 for Ingram. I don't know why it was different, but that's what I was told through the manager's office. So that's why I was saying that number was high. But either way it go, I'm fine if you want to allocate it, if it gets the playgrounds done. But don't get too far ahead, because you got a park master plan that's supposed to cover the entire park system. that this board, according to the chair, contributed to. So keep that in-
Yes,
in
yes,
mind.
we did.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
I wanted to also say that I think that we don't want to give the perception that the board does not want the playgrounds done. I mean, I have children, grandchildren that go out there and they always want to go play at Shabundi in the little play area. It's necessary to be done. It's just that the numbers that I saw today was, I think, about $60,000 for one and something for the other. But then I also heard that through the budget that you all were going to, Ingram Park was going to be redone or redone. So would this be a part, if this passed, would this be a part of those what's being redone? Or this is something that you want now and the renovations at Ingram Park is something that's further down the road?
I wasn't at the workshop last night, so I'm only referencing to the reopening and getting the park functioning. I'm not referencing to the big master or whatever's coming down.
Oh,
I
okay.
just know we need playgrounds now because I hear it all the time. And so when I inquire,
Yes, we all
that's
hear
what I'm referencing. My only
phone calls
comment
all the time.
to Board Member Williams was, I just thought the 300,000 amount was quite a bit to allocate at this moment, considering the numbers that have been proposed through the manager's office for playgrounds. That's all, nothing else, playgrounds with the canopy on top. But if we want to put 300,000 more, I mean, that's a board decision. But that's the only thing I'm referencing. I'm not referencing down the road.
Okay, I'm sorry, Board Member Nikisha Williams.
Yeah. So I have a question, and I don't know if this board might be able to answer it, or perhaps Frank or our lawyer. So in looking through the Florida statutes as it relates to CRAs, I know there is something that says the CRAs are not supposed to spend money on capital improvement or capital projects that has already been budgeted for the city within 3 years. And so I hear us talking about budget that's included in the city budget, or including parks expenses that perhaps is included in the city budget. But I mean, I know there's some room around it, and there's probably something that we can include in the CRA, but I just want us to be really, we need to get specific about what we're going to pay for, knowing that according to the Florida statutes, and again, I would love some advice here, that we are not supposed to pay for capital improvement projects that have been paid for within the past 3 years by the city. And so I hope I'm being clear. It is getting late, and so I start to jumble my words. And again, perhaps someone can advise on this. This is me and my non-legal self trying to read through the Florida statute, so I'd appreciate some guidance.
Vice Chair, I mean, the state statute and the CRA plan does give some boundaries as to exactly what you can spend your money on. I think it's important for us to review the request with the city and come back to the director with recommendations as to I think there's been sufficient discussion as to the need for playgrounds and park amenities. I think the number that you're going to come back with in the final budget, in discussion with the city, and to make sure that we're not overstepping any budgetary allocations, I think it's advisable for us to have that discussion after we review the boundaries for the CRA plan.
Let me ask a question to Board Member Irvin. Because you initially brought up the playgrounds. So you were referring to, when you say 2 out of the 4, but you are referring to Ingram Park and Shabundi Park, because those are the parks that are in the CRA. So what you're looking for, excuse me, is playground equipment for Shabundi Park, where they have the playground. And I don't know whether Ingram Park doesn't have any there, but to be put on Ingram Park as well.
Yes.
Okay,
And if I may, the reason that when I first started having conversation with Park and Rec and the manager's office about replacing the playground and what that amount looked like, I was told 150,000 was one of the quotes that they received for Shabundi. Because maybe they're going to, instead of keeping it in that little section, that they're gonna maybe utilize the entire area to look like what some of our adjoining cities look like. And that's probably why it's so much.
so much.
And I know that was one of the quotes that they got.
Madam Chair, I
Yes,
think,
also, I would like to also, Mr. Delane, in doing this research, also look at, God, it just slipped my mind. The company that also helps do playgrounds, Kaboom. Look at Kaboom as well, because they might be able to also help us where if we can't come up to Board Member Veronica's $300,000, maybe they could offset some of that cost so that we could get what we're looking for, the larger playground area as well.
Madam Chair, I think the director has very specific direction as to the importance of park amenities,
Yes,
playgrounds, whatever that number is, at 100, 150, or at 300.
yes,
For the next phase of the budget workshop on the final budget, with the discussion with the city, a number is going to be recommended that will get us to addressing parks within the CRA boundaries.
yes. Thank you, sir. Sounds good.
So back to that little issue about the police.
Yes.
I was just, that was the only thing that's not sitting in there that you wanted to put in there. Don't lose thought of that.
Yes, Mr. Director, can you tell me approximately where would we add it in the budget, and where would you take those dollars from? If I think Board Member Kelly kind of threw out $5,000 as a just a number, because we could always go back and amend it. So he threw out $5,000 as a number. We could always go back and amend it. So where in the budget can you look real fast?
Madam, why, it's just a suggestion for
Yes.
him to add it on the professional services. I think that's the easiest place to do it.
Under professional services
For
now.
Just,
I would say it's already there.
yeah, it's already there. You can add it. You
And
just
then
gotta-
Okay.
we can just,
Okay, all right.
already
Did you
there.
get that? Okay,
and we can.
Mr. Director.
play with it.
Okay, so we're gonna vote?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Board Member Veronica Williams,
Yes.
Board Member Taylor,
Yes.
Board Member Kelly,
I'm still third. Yes.
Board Member Irvin,
Yes.
Board Member Bass,
Yes.
Vice Chair Williams,
Yes.
Chair Russell,
Yes.
motion passed.
Thank you.
We're down to board comments. Before we move off the budget, Mr. Delane, we do not have again this month, bank statement in the packet. And we're supposed to have a bank statement every board meeting. The board is supposed to see the bank statements. So please, make sure that we get a copy of the bank statements at every, meeting. Okay, board comments? None, hearing none?
Yeah, none, don't worry.
Okay, none? Everybody's good?
Madam Chair,
Yes.
budget workshop, potential dates, how are you going to decide that?
I propose that the clerk poll the board. Please.
Yes,
You waiting for a motion to adjourn?
yes, please.
Move it.
Second.
Motion to adjourn. That's what you were waiting for me to say? Oh, he moved it.